Check.
Okay.
Up to your mouth.
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for showing up right on early and on a cold morning. And welcome to our special meeting to review the official plan. Sorry, the strategic plan, not the official plan. That'll come later. I'd like to start, as we usually do, with the playing of O Canada. If you wouldn't mind standing with me. Thank you. I'll now read our Indigenous Land Acknowledgement Statement. The municipality of Whitestone recognizes all of Canada resides on traditional, unceded, and/or treaty lands of the Indigenous people of Turtle Island. We recognize our municipality on the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory is home to many past, present, and future Indigenous families. This acknowledgement of the land is a declaration of our commitment and collective responsibility to reconcile the past and to honor and value the culture, history, and relationships we have with one another. Are we? Sorry? Let's get right. I don't see that we have anybody on remote other than our manager of public works. But you can still hear us, can you, Dave?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In case some others join us later on. All right, so first item, I guess, or second item is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Does anyone have? I can't believe that you would. Okay, could I get a mover and seconder, please, to approve the agenda? Thank you. Councillor Woods moves and Councillor Bray seconds. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. And the next thing that we're going to do, according to the agenda, is go into committee of the whole. But so that we don't have to come out to do this later on, what I'm going to suggest is that we do a curfew motion. And let me say, the intention of this meeting is to have a stop after 4 hours. So at about 1 o'clock, we will take some breaks along the way. But maybe I could just get a mover and seconder to that we go until 1 o'clock. Councillor Woods, I thought I saw seconded. Councillor Lamb. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. That way we won't have to do it later. I'm sorry. Okay. So now, one more thing, if we could go into committee of the whole, please. Would like to, okay, I'll take Councillor Bray and Councillor Woods as mover and seconder that we move into committee of the whole at looks like 9:14 a.m. to consider our strategic plan. All those in favor? All right. Thank you. So that will be it for motions for the next 3¾ hours. What I had suggested that we do to sort of break this up into pieces is to start with a quick SWOT analysis, and then so that maybe we would spend maybe about an hour on that, and then work our way down through the plan. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. Maybe I'll turn this down a bit. As long as everybody in the room here can hear, we should be good. Then we would work our way down through the elements of the strategic plan, starting with the vision and the mission and core values and so on, and just see if there are some things that we want to identify that should be changed. Mic open. I'm just getting I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. And I think. Oh, okay. Well, no. Yeah, I can hear the coffee machine too. That's going to be important as we go. Okay, so maybe I'll move this a little farther down, if that helps. Anyway, the way I would suggest that we do this is to take the 4 basic elements of the SWOT analysis, which is, our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then just try to populate that list. And you'll see we have a screen here just so you can kind of see them as we go. And Paula is going to help us kind of capture them there. Just a few words to describe them. We don't need to have a lengthy description, but just see what we come up with as we go. Once we get the 4 sections populated, and she can expand the sections as she fills them in if you have trouble seeing them. I realize it's a lot to try and put on a screen, but when we're finished, we may end up moving some of them around a little bit or something like that. But let's try and just capture them first, and try and populate the table. We won't have a discussion on whether you think they're good ideas or not. We'll just try to capture what people have to suggest, and then we'll come back and massage the list. Okay, is that fair? So let's start with the strengths, and yeah, hopefully you all have some lists that you've prepared, and maybe we'll just go around the table and we could start at this end, I guess, and just identify some of the things that you'd like to capture for this. Councillor Woods, you want to start?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Strengths. So the strengths as a community or as part of our strategic plan?
No, well, both. I think that the strengths really are strengths that we see in the community, things that we do well, either as a community at large or as council. It's not, we're not trying to critique the strategic plan. We're just trying to we're trying to get up to date on the environment that we're in today. So the things that you could like, the things that you're proud of. In the note that I sent to you, I said, what for strengths, I said, what do we consider to be our current strengths and assets as a community and as an organization? What accomplishments are we most proud of? So, and I gave you a couple of examples that I suspect would end up on there. One of them is the Library and Technology Center, and another is our elementary school. The fact that we have an elementary school in our community, and we're not responsible for that, by the way, but we do things. We try to do things to support it, right?
Yep. I would say our greatest strength, in my opinion, is our people that we have here in the community. And our volunteers as well. We've got a really active volunteer base. It would be great if we'd have more volunteers, but that, in my opinion, is one of our greatest strengths, is the people we have here.
Yeah, many volunteers. Yeah, that's a good one. You got some more, or did you want to? All right, we'll just go. Well, all right, let's just keep going. You can shut them out if you want, as we go. Go ahead, Janice.
I had on my list the nursing station, and I had the Ardbeg Community Hall as well. And more, but
yeah, you can put make that two separate ones if you don't mind, Paul. Okay, I had. I'm sorry.
I'm going to put one more in
Yeah.
because I'm a little biased on this one. And an excellent fire department.
Yeah. Thank you. Fire and rescue. Okay, I got lots, but keep going. Councilor Lamb.
Yeah, I'm crossing some of them off and I'm trying to look through the coffee that I've filled.
Oh.
If I seem to be staring, that's what I'm doing. So anyway, what did I have? I had our low tax rate as one. Or lower tax rate, because we have I had, by the way, all the ones that have been mentioned here, so I'm ticking off as I go along, but I think our low tax rate. I think our strength is, and I put down our history and our heritage and that kind of stuff. I don't know what, I'd also say like our rural nature, but I don't know whether that's a separate one or part of the.
Yeah, it's probably a separate one.
Yeah. I also had in engagement. We're a pretty engaged community compared to most, right? And some of that's on social media and that sort of thing, but we're a pretty engaged group. Anytime you put surveys out and get 400 people responding, that's a pretty engaged community. So I would say engagement is another one. Certainly the school I had in there. Let me just see here. Library. Is that in there already?
Oh, that, yeah.
I put the whole Dunchurch campus, what I call down here. I think that's a real strength in our community. So that would include everything from the playground to the water tap. The water tap's pretty important to this community. And I think it's a strength since we put it in far stronger than I ever thought it would be. So And again, I call that the Whitestone campus. I think, I don't know how you put this one, the community support. Anytime you can fundraise $230 some odd thousand for a nurse's station, that's a lot of community support for financial endeavors and things like that. And I think the only other thing I put in was our lakes and our environment, but that might be up there somewhere else, but certainly the idea that, you know, we have rocks and trees and lakes
Yeah.
and forests is a great advantage to
Yeah.
us. That's why people move here, and that's one of our greatest
Yeah.
strengths in my mind, so.
Natural environment.
Yeah, maybe that's all part, but
Paula, yeah,
anyway,
Yeah.
that's,
thank you.
that's all off my list, thank you.
All right,
And I
Go
think a
ahead.
lot of the items I had have already been noted. I had a couple others, so I think one of our good assets is the equipment that we have for the Works Department. As one. Another one I had written down here was it might go with natural environment or not, but I had the number of public access points that we have as a community. I think that's a good strength that we do have. I think another good strength that we have is the land. It might come under the land we've purchased, but land that we own, the municipality itself, for future development, for future use. I think that is a good strength that we have. And I also put down as a strength, which some people might not think it is, but I put down our landfills. I think we're lucky that we do have 2 landfills, not just 1 landfill. But I think it's a strength, but something that we do have to look at. I'm getting some feedback here, but and those are a couple others that I had for now.
okay, thank you. Counselor Woods,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, one that I forgot was our walking trails. I think that's an asset to our community and a strength. You know, a good number of
Okay,
people use
thank
our
you.
walking trails.
yeah,
Mr. Mayor, I have another one. I was thinking of we have a gas station in our village, which many places don't, and a variety store. That adds to our community. And our new docks and boat launches, they've all add to our community as well.
okay. All right, go ahead.
Our thrift shop.
Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you. That's a good answer. I'm just looking at my list to see if and I did have that one on actually, but I was going to mention it. A couple of things. First of all, one of the things that I think we're doing well actually, is what I would call our asset management program. And I suppose this is you know, as you know, we're starting to get our assets captured under it, and that's an important thing for a municipality like ours that's growing and adding and upgrading its assets. We've got to look to the future to make sure that we have the resources to maintain them. Councillor Lamb mentioned earlier, and I think it's probably the same point, but mentioned the low tax rate. I put that one down as you know, good fiscal responsibility, fiscal management. That's something that I think we've identified as almost as a core value, if you like. two other things. One is, I wanted to acknowledge that I think we've made a lot of progress in our Works Department, and I consider that the Works Department is actually an asset, and I know that was alluded to earlier. It's not just the resources, not just the equipment resources that we have, but the human resources that we have. And if you look at the history of the municipality, we've had lots of turnover and periods of time when the quality of the work, kind of went up and down a bit. And lately we've got, I think, a really good team that are doing a great job. So, and finally, I wanted to mention something that's going on that I think, and probably some of you maybe don't realize that it's going on, but there's some there's quite a bit of collaboration going on between the rec committee and the library, and there are a lot of joint program. There's a lot of joint programming. There's sharing of resources, and we're starting to see members of the community that are taking advantage of these things, and so I think that's something that we're doing well. And you could probably generalize that and say that the groups, the various groups in the community have tended to work together to get to do joint activities, and I think that's a strength. So anyway, I don't know, are there any others that you want to?
It's a good list.
Our CAO clerk has some.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to add to two of them that are already up there. Under school, I would suggest you add, in concert with the school, the after-school program. Because we know that the program was recently canceled in Magnatawan, and it was recently canceled at McDougall because they couldn't find staff. So ours is strong, and it helps parents to be able to have their children stay at school and work. And I would suggest you might want to add LCBO beside gas station, because it's an important component of the
Put it up number one.
campus. Yes. Thank you, if you don't mind me stepping in.
No.
And restaurant, as Paula said.
Yeah.
So we have some services here that will bring people to the community.
Okay, so yeah, we have two. We actually have a restaurant on the other side too, which is Loggers, and yeah, I know, whatever it's the ducks. It used to be the Duck's Nest. I don't know what they even call it these days, but anyway. Okay. Are there any other ones that you want to add, or can we move over to weaknesses?
That's a really good list.
Yeah, it is. I think it's an impressive list. I didn't make quite a big enough table to fit on one screen for them all, but that's great. Okay, so weaknesses. Let's start at the other end, and things that are, again, I'll read you my little heading here. What deficiencies do we see in our community and our organization? What are the things we would most like to improve on or to do better? Examples of weaknesses for Whitestone might be our shortage of local housing for employees of local businesses in the municipality, and lack of parking space for events in the Dunchurch Municipal Center area. Just two things that came to mind when I was preparing the memo. So anyway, start with Councillor Nash.
Yeah, I'll just say a couple of the ones I have to get started. I have as a weakness. Always, it's almost a strength and a weakness. And where I put it as weakness is the amount of road system that we have, but it's a weakness in the amount of money, the funds that we need to allocate every year to maintain those roads. I think is a bit of a weakness, and just that we have to put so much money into them. I'm just going to try moving the microphone a bit. I think another weakness that we have is sometimes when it comes to our tendering or bidding process, that we don't get many bids submitted or tenders submitted for pricing. And I think that hurts us economically, make sure we're getting the most competitive bids. I also had here, although we do have a number of public landings and access points, which is under strengths, but one of our weaknesses is we don't invest in them. So I think a weakness is not investing in public landings and access points. Those are the ones I have to get started on.
Okay. Yeah, I would just put shortage of bidders or something.
Yeah, I think
For that-
shortage
For
of
that one.
shortage of bidders, I think is a good way to mention it, George. Under that one.
Oh, the next one was the
And-
public landings,
Yeah, the public landings,
low state of investment in public landings
Yeah.
or something.
low investment,
Mhm.
municipal investment in the public landings.
Okay, Councillor Lamb, do you wanna?
Yeah, I had a few under this. And again, some of these I had difficulty whether they're weaknesses or opportunities or whatever, but I think our large geographic area, we're very large. And practically two worlds, right? Dunchurch and Ardbeg and whatever. So that's what I had there. Just let me cross that off. And that goes along with sort of the lack of amenities kind of outside of Dunchurch. We've got a lot of stuff here that we've done here, but it seems sort of Dunchurch focused, right? And we've got Maple Island, we've got Ardbeg, we've got all these other areas that I think we have to maybe do more on. I think, and I'm gonna say this, employee succession. I think that's a real weakness in that we're a small community and we don't really, we haven't got big enough staff to say, well, you'll take over for so-and-so and you'll take over for so-and-so. It's sort of much of our recruitment is one-offs. And when I say succession, we've got retirements. We've also got some of our contract employees that obviously I think, the planning regime is going to change. I think Mr. Jackson is looking at phasing out over the next year or so. Our bylaw, although we have a contract, all of us are getting older. So I think succession is or the lack of succession maybe is a weakness. Maybe it's an opportunity also. I don't know, but I also had the internet is a big weakness here in the municipality. I also had the lack of daycare facilities. I think that's a major thing. You've got 60 kids in the school now and not enough daycare facilities. I think there's a big weakness, and I guess being a senior, in terms of support services for seniors in the community. Try if you're ill or break your hip or something to get a personal care worker in this municipality, and you're not going to find them, that kind of example, right? and there's a lot of services, I think are opportunities too on the opposite side, but, and then the mayor said lack of shortage of local housing. I put the lack of affordable housing. I think is maybe, I don't know whether that's separate or the same thing. Maybe they're the same, I don't know. And I don't know, Council Wood calls it the big divide. So I don't know whether that's a weakness or not, but the whole idea of, seasonal and permanent and all that kind of stuff. I think is a weakness as long as we're referring to that kind of thing, because I think of ourselves all as one, and I think we've got to get rid of. In fact, when we get to some of the language, I'm going to suggest we take out permanent and seasonal. It creates it just in the document, right? And so I think that's one. Oh, and I think that's the end of my list. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Ray.
Yeah, quite a few of mine have already been mentioned, but I have a few more. One, a limited parking at the waterfront. And I think the waterfront can be extremely busy, and having our administrative office down there in the summertime and the fire department. And let me tell you, that is always a nerve-wracking experience in the summer, trying to get out and making sure with all the children around and the beach area. So I think those are weaknesses, and they're also, I might bring them up again, one of them at least as a threat in that sense. I would also say no post office. I know for businesses to have to go so far away to get to a post office also means that they're taking some of their other business out of our area as well. Now what else did I say? Oh, and again, it's part of the same waterfront, but it can be extremely busy with the number of boats being put in and out, especially spring and fall can be extremely busy right in front. That's about all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Woods.
Everybody else took all my ideas. I don't have any more to add to that list.
Well, I think you could. There's since you took the trouble to actually come, the two of you are the ones, the two who actually took the trouble to come out this morning. So yeah, if you have something you'd like to put in. Sorry, maybe if we just got that mic off the off the podium, just so that we can all hear. And again, I don't look at the participants and see if we've done any more, but I don't think we do. No.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I love this kind of session, by the way. I put down post office too, because there's so many people doing online shopping and needing to pick up parcels, return parcels, and not having a post office here.
You got that mic
Got a Tweety bird.
that
I realize the post office is under your control, but it is a weakness. The other weakness that I'm wearing my library hat now is that the library relies very heavily on grants.
if you can just turn it off, I think that one
I'll just
we
mix it back.
might need to.
The library relies very heavily on grants for summer students, and our library is very, very busy in the summertime. So I think a weakness is the restriction that we feel during budget time to be able to budget for a summer student and not have to rely upon grants. And we need to provide more services out in the community. That's a weakness. Library services are not out in the community. We're not just Dunchurch. So we need more money and resources for the library to get out into the community. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So I'm just looking at my list. I had down shortage of housing and this was already mentioned before, but we have a shortage of housing in all price ranges, basically. And it's a West Perry Sound wide situation. One of the things that I think will come up later on, of course, is the matter of so-called affordable housing, or the term that people are using these days is attainable housing, because trying to make a distinction between affordable housing being housing that is sufficiently cheap that people on very, very low income can manage it, and there's not much of that, but there's also attainable housing is something that folks starting out could afford to get, and then there are various kinds. Anyway, we won't go into detail at the moment, but that's I think that's an important one. I also think that shortage of long-term care is an issue. Again, and it's Whitestone itself is not a we don't have any long-term care facilities, but we do have folks that need them. And if you're following the news, you know that what happens these days. Again, this is a system-wide shortage for Ontario, and what is now happening is that people who need to be in long-term care facilities are getting sent farther and farther away from home because there's nothing close by. So I think that's an issue. People mentioned parking a few times, and I think there are sort of two main areas where we have parking issues. One is here in the downtown core of Dunchurch, particularly around the municipal center here, and the other is at landings. And we've obviously been talking about that a fair bit. Again, Councillor Lamb brought up succession planning. We actually have, in my opinion, a shortage of staff. I don't think we have enough staff for the work that we have to do, that we are expecting our staff to do. And of course, the issue of succession planning just makes it more complicated. And the difficulty in getting staff in a small community like this is also an issue. The only thing that I had really that nobody else has mentioned at all, I think, you've heard this from me before, but I think that our land use planning process, and again, I'm focused on the process, this is not a criticism of people particularly, but the process that we have followed historically and are still following seems to be not up to the kinds of demands that we're making on it now. And we're starting as the community grows and we start to consider things like industrial and commercial applications and so on. The process is starting to show strain, so I consider that a weakness. It's the planning process, a land use planning process. So those are.
Can I add one more, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, you can.
And I think you touched on it when you said shortage of staff. And I think it goes with when we talked about housing for employees and local businesses. And I think the other one would be retaining and attracting staff for both private and public sectors. So retaining and attracting staff, be it for the municipality or for a private business. I think that's a really big concern up here. And I'm just looking back, if it's okay, I know you'd said about a weakness, the land use process, and I don't want to get into debate, but that recalled a strength that I think we have. So I don't know if we can just add one more strength if possible, if you're okay with that. And the strength that I thought of was our Perry Sound and Area Planning Board, that we're a member of that. I think that's a great strength that we have. That we can rely on the overall community in a much bigger board for professional staff that they have. Thanks.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor. Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
The only other thing I would have is the lack of specialized medical care. I think that, you know, the number of, if you look at all the seniors, I was looking the other day with our CAO, and I think it was like 67% of people are, well, maybe even 3/4 of the people are 50 and older, right? And many people move up from urban areas. And then when do they move back? They move back when they have medical situations, a lot of them, because they can't get specialized care in Perry Sound. So they move back to an urban area to get that care. So I think overall, although I'm a great fan of the hospital and you know, all the services they provide, simply by their size, they're not able to supply specialized heart care and things like that. So
Could we maybe say, and I'm not sure the exact words, but a weakness is the aging population, but I think you hear that everywhere. It's not just a white.
don't call me weak.
It's a Canada problem. It's a Canadian problem.
Mr. Mayor, along that same vein, yes, the aging population, and the fact is that we're not attracting and can't attract enough younger families to come into our area. And that's going to be for all communities, because if you don't have the younger people coming in, then obviously we're not going to have the services, the basic services available for seniors. And that's the number one problem with we don't have enough PSWs for people who do need limited or ongoing home care.
Mr. Mayor, I have one. I thought of, I was reading an old agenda about our elections and the demographics of who voted and who didn't vote. And I think one of our weaknesses is our 30 and 40-year-olds not getting involved in the electoral process enough, because those numbers were extremely low. I don't know how you'd want to word that, but I see that as a weakness. We need to, I don't know, kick them in the pants. That's what I do. I yell at a bunch of the younger people and tell them to get involved more and take part in the process.
It's our generation.
I can think of one more. The underutilization of this building. It sits here, we heat, we hydro, we do all that kind of stuff. And I know there's lots of rec programs and whatever, but I'm not sure we can't do things to encourage greater involvement and use of this building, which is a great asset in my mind. So I'm just talking specific, the community center. Thank you, Paul.
Paula, under about 4 or 5 lines up where you had retaining and attracting for both private and public sector, that was just employees. I think you just missed the word there.
Okay.
Retaining and attracting for both private and public sector employees or staff.
Okay, so
Does that include skilled trades? Like I think there's where you can't try to find a plumber or whatever, skilled trades that.
okay, yeah. The election one was participation of 30 and 40-year-olds, I think. Yeah, that was the lowest.
I want to see the 20-year-olds, there was 8 available and 4 actually voted, which I thought was a good thing, because it's better numbers than the 30 to 40-year-olds.
Okay, yeah. What percentage of the
Your
availability
mic,
was it?
Brian, I can't.
It was low, like it was most definitely the lowest age category that took part in the electoral process was the 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds. I was amazed, actually.
That occurs in other jurisdictions too, by the way. but
Oh, yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
so I don't know, but I don't know what that means. I don't. Or what the cause of it is, I guess. I know what it means, all right, but. Our CAO clerk has suggested that we just take a short break. There are actually a few people who are trying to join us, and apparently there's some. Whatever link is on the website for them to join isn't working, so she's gonna fix that. If you would like to get a coffee or. Whatever, please, and we'll pick this up in just a minute or two. Go ahead. It's on the desktop. All you have to do is say save. This. Oh, you probably can't see where it is, maybe, but let me look.
I have to,
I'll. Let me try.
get on the server.
That's okay.
Did you save it?
Yeah, I saved
Oh, all right, so I thought maybe you couldn't see where this.
No, I did on the desktop.
Sure. Sometimes when you connect the projector, it changes the resolution
Yeah.
of this guy down.
Is it that people couldn't connect?
Well, I think so. She's gonna fix whatever
I was just in the,
is the link not right.
we'll see right now.
I just let someone on the phone in. And then the- Special council meeting Saturday, January 20th. We're dealing with it. Thank you. There. That it? This one? 24th.
You're already there.
The 21st. I just got the 21st.
I have another strength. I really don't mean it. The gas. Get their folks.
Yes, we have a couple.
Which one is it? This one?
That was an issue.
This one?
That's a strength, right? Not a weak. Yeah. I'm trying to commute.
So that's today's, I couldn't understand why the website.
How are you doing? It's working now. If the scandal popped up momentarily, but
I just admitted her.
so are you, can we start again?
I'm gonna tell you in 1 minute. That's 21. Yes. Yes. Okay. Somebody. When somebody uploaded the agenda for the 24th.
Yeah.
They uploaded into the date of the 21st. And so they deleted the 21st. Now, I mean, our agendas are correct, and I'm saying to Margie, no, this is it, and this is on the agenda. Then I thought, I've got to go into the server and check, and anyway, it is now fixed, and anybody that wants to join us is there. And I think I got an email from someone, so. Okay, folks, I think we can start back up again. We do have the link for this particular meeting corrected on the website so that if additional people try to get in, they will at least have a link for this meeting, not the next regular council meeting on the 24th, so. I think now we could move, Paul, if you don't mind, we can move over to the opportunities section. The question that we're trying to answer here, what opportunities do we see that we can take advantage of to address our weaknesses and build our strengths?
And examples of opportunities for Whitestone might be the opportunity to purchase land adjacent to our Dunchurch Municipal Center for future municipal purposes. And we talked about that already earlier, and that's an advantage that we did take advantage of in the last council term, twice, actually. Also the opportunity to attract commercial or industrial businesses to Whitestone to expand our economic base and provide employment. And you'll know that, you'll notice that that also, if you follow our agendas, that's also there is an opportunity there that we kind of have in the works and at the moment. So a potential opportunity. So let's by the way, nobody mentioned this under the weaknesses section, but I think it would be fair to say there is not a lot of employment opportunity within Whitestone itself. And, you know, that's maybe a bigger subject for, you know, for further discussion, but because it's a function of how much business, industry and commerce and so on we have going on in the municipality. But anyway, let's start seeing if we can populate the opportunities part. And I guess we could go back at this end again and go through. If you did you have some, Councillor Woods?
One here, I think it's a good one. Councillor Bray and I just had a quick discussion when I had said about the voter turnout in the 30 to 40-year-old category. I think this would be a very good idea, and it was kind of Councillor Bray's, not just mine, but to have some sort of group or committee with kids in the high school to ask them where they would like to see the municipality go and things that they see. Because I mean, realistically, people of the generation younger than us probably have wants to realize and see. It'd be a good opportunity to have a group of the high school kids, if they were interested, to sit down and chat with us and tell us what kind of directions they'd like to see.
Good, thank you. Councillor Bray.
It could also be a bit of a weakness, but I think there are a lot of opportunities for us to apply for grants out there. The Federation of the Canadian Federation of Municipalities or Municipals, I can't remember the whole acronym, but it's they have a lot of grants for rural and small municipalities. So again, it's, you know, it goes along with our staffing situation, is that, you know, it creates more work for people, but I think it could be an opportunity for us to be able to look into that for some of the areas that we would like to make improvements, or we'd like to add to our community. Yeah, I had with the youth and young adults, I think that having getting input from our young people would certainly help us to be able to have a better idea as to what they're thinking about. It also helps to get them involved and interested in what we do, and perhaps create an interest of some of our younger people to be to run for office. And yeah, you already had the property, so I think I've got everything.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lamb.
Oh, I'm back on. So, yeah, a few.
When they're sitting there, we might as well.
The first one I had was, you know, I had the opportunity, particularly this past summer and year, to be up in Ardbeg more. And what hits me is there is such a different lifestyle between our rural Ardbeg area and say down here in Whitestone. For in other words, we've got maybe some different values and lifestyles and that sort of thing between groups up there, like the music and stuff like that, that's there and our seasonal population. And I kept wondering, how do we melt those two together? How do we have more interaction between those two groups to truly support that we are all one, no matter what our differences or in value set or whatever. So I don't know how you put that in words, but I think there's an opportunity there for us to maybe program or do something where we're getting those groups together more so that they understand one another better and that sort of thing. So I think the fall fair is a good example of where everybody comes out, more stuff like that kind of, I guess. I think we need to, again, we've got such a skill set in our population that goes untapped in the, and I said here, develop a volunteerism program. And I've been on this for a long time. It seems to me that the same volunteers do the same work all the time, and there's a limited group of people that do it. And then there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other people that aren't engaged and have a tremendous skill set in whatever. Right? So I think we still need to, develop that some more. I think there's a heck of an opportunity. Some of the weaknesses and strengths that we have that are also opportunities, like the senior population. I think there's really great opportunities there for people to service and help senior people in our community. I think there's a whole opportunity that again surrounds our rural, area and our lakes and forests and rocks and trees and all that sort of thing. That's our core asset. And that's why a lot of people who do move here is for that. And I think there's an opportunity that surrounds that. I can remember years ago when the mining industry was going down in Elliott Lake, and they decided as a community to turn it into a retirement center, and it was very successful and attracted a lot of senior people. Right? I'm not suggesting that we do that here, but maybe if we identified a program like that, that can go a long way in attracting people. So again, housing unavailability is a problem, but I think it's also an opportunity for us. Maybe there's something we can do with respect to that in terms of an opportunity, in terms of attracting people. I think there's an opportunity again with our boat launches and our public nature of our lakes and everything to develop those. I think that's an opportunity in terms of attracting people here and to a lifestyle. Those I think are all that I have. Oh, internet. As much as internet is a problem, I think it's an opportunity for us. And an example of that is I know that there have been people talk to me about partnering with someone like Starlink, maybe having a program that would support. Maybe Starlink takes and reduces their fee a little bit, and we support it somehow, and together make it more affordable for rural people to get internet, things like that. So I think there's opportunities in that area. So those are the some of the things that I had down. Thank you. That was the hardest area to fill in, by the way, I found. Yeah.
I'm not, so
Go ahead. I sort of got lost, sorry.
Which one?
that's what I was gonna say is I think one of the things that Councillor Lamb mentioned that I don't see that we capture necessarily is the the talent base that exists in the community is an
Yeah,
opportunity.
skill-
And
The
question-
skill set within the community
Yeah,
that's going untapped.
Yeah.
I bet there's
And-
no subject that we could ever say that we don't have a skill set within the community, but they
Yeah.
don't get engaged, right? It's,
Yeah. And I was actually gonna comment on that one, so while she's typing, I'll just make a comment from my experience, which is, some people do come into the community and people in this room are probably good examples of that because we sort of stood up and said, hey, I want to do something and so, get involved in various things. But in truth, that's probably a minority in the community that do that. Okay, there are lots of people who come and they might have something to offer, but they may not respond unless they're asked. And so, it's I think there is an opportunity for us to kind of try to get to know the people that we have, particularly new people coming into the community, and see what skills they are bringing, and perhaps invite them to do specific things, to volunteer, and maybe we would in fact get more of them engaged. So, but anyway, that's a good one. And I don't know, were there any others that we didn't?
Yeah, I have a few, Mr.
Well, sorry, just wonder of the ones that Councillor Lamb mentioned, were there any that we didn't?
senior.
You
Senior
put down broadband internet, yeah, which is, should have, and that one should have been on the weakness page at the moment.
It was.
But probably, and maybe folks don't know this, but we are almost on the cusp of getting some improvements. Probably, I'm going to say late in 2024 is sort of a best guess at the moment. But the province, as you probably know, has awarded a contract to Cogeco to run a high capacity fiber line up Highway 124 to Dunchurch. And they've started working on it, and it'll get to McKellar probably, early next year, late this year. The municipality will benefit because we're sort of what they think of as kind of like an anchor tenant, right? We get and we have need for it here, but people who are within sort of connection range of that corridor will be able to get, we're talking about gigabit Ethernet, very, very high capacity compared to what you can get now at an affordable price. I mean, the gigabit will be expensive, but if you want decent internet that you can use, and that'll be a big, I think that'll be a big change for people who are thinking about moving here and living here and running their own businesses and that sort of thing. So anyway, I would list it as an opportunity in the sense that it's coming in hopefully in the term of this council. Anyway, sorry, I didn't want to did you have another one before? We're sort of going this way, I think, but
I had a few if I could, Mr. Mayor. Under opportunities, I had to promote growth and development in a sustainable way to assist with the housing issues. I'll let Paula catch up. Yeah, no problem. So
yeah.
promote growth, development in a sustainable way to assist with the housing.
Yeah.
I think that's a great opportunity. And the next one, which is similar, would be promote Whitestone itself for new businesses or business opportunities. I think we have a great opportunity there to promote our municipality itself. So promote Whitestone for new businesses and business opportunities. I also think, and it's been touched on already, but I think a great opportunity is greater or improvements to the public landings and access points. I think that's a very good opportunity. And that I think there could be an opportunity. I drive up on Saturday sometimes and you see the farmer's market, but I'd love to see if there could be an opportunity for something like that here. You know, a farmer's market or, you know, something like that that could be done here. I don't know. I'm using the word farmer's market, but it might be much more involved than that. But I think we have an opportunity that we could look at for that. And the last two I have is I think we have an opportunity to start gathering information on water quality of our lakes. I think we can take this time as an opportunity to start that under new council as part of our process, as part of the municipal process. And the last one I had here, I think we have a good opportunity right now. It was talked about earlier today about the water that's available at the community center here. I think we have a great opportunity to look into another location for another potable water, be it in Ardbeg or Maple Island. I think it's a great time that we look at that opportunity to see if we can do that. We have two, one at the north end of our municipality, one at the south end.
Okay, thank you.
Could I expand that farmer's market, put common, put vendors market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than a farmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vendor market would be perfect.
Okay, thank you. I did have one that hasn't been mentioned that I see as an opportunity for us and again, opportunities are often you know, tied, I suppose, to weaknesses in some sense, but the weakness is that we don't have the full range of energy sources that communities in the south have. For example, we don't have any natural gas. We have propane, but we don't have natural gas. And I don't think we're going to get natural gas not in the foreseeable future. But there is an opportunity, and the opportunity is to improve our energy efficiency for the things that we do here. Because we tend to, you know, the sources that we use in our municipal facilities are, of course, our hydro, which is increasingly expensive, and propane, which is increasingly expensive. But we do have access to you know, ground source, for example, and water source for heating and cooling, and I think that's something that we should look at to see as we go forward for future development, say, of the municipal site here. We could have we could have a water source heating and cooling plant that we could use to heat and cool a number of buildings instead of doing it using a combination of electricity and propane. So that's a you know, that's one I would put on the list, I guess. Anyway, are there any others that you want to add to that one? No, I want to keep going. Don't want to spend too much time on this whole thing, but is These things will pop up they're important because they're gonna pop up as we talk further about the plan. So maybe we could move on to the threats, and I'll just describe again what we're talking about. What could change in our situation that could threaten achievement of our objectives and force us to change our plans? So examples of threats for Whitestone could be a new or continuing pandemic, and we've experienced that as a threat. And I put or a political reorganization of Parry Sound District by the provincial government, because that subject came up a bit in several of us Parry Sound municipalities during the last couple of years. So, but those are just some examples. So we're at this end of the table, all right? Did we get back? No, we started, sorry, we're going back now.
Yeah.
Starting with Councillor Nash.
So I have a few.
Yeah.
They're fairly point form, like very point form, these ones. I have amalgamation as a threat. The dreaded R word being recession as a threat. Higher interest rates as a threat. And continued inflation. That'll put a lot of pressure onto our municipal budgets. I think rising costs, I have OPP/healthcare, but I mean rising costs of emergency services that we pay into. I think it takes up a big portion of our budget each year, and it's going to continue to go up. And the last one I have is combined. I have staff turnover. And I've put succession planning as a threat. But I also mean that in regards to our planner. So succession planning with our planner, along with staff turnover. So those are my kind of 5 main ones that I have.
Okay. Yeah, succession planning is actually the response to the threat, I think, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Yes.
We'll just leave it for now. Councillor Lamb.
Yeah. I had the pandemic or that sort of thing. I think it carries on. In a limited way, but I think it is still a threat to us. Particularly with our aging population here. So I think climate change is a threat. Certainly when it comes to things like snowmobiling or whatever, it's no snowmobile season. I don't know whether that's climate change, but that sure affects life in the north as an example of that. I think there's always in our community natural disasters that are a threat, whether that be fire or flood. Those sorts of things affect us all the time, whether it's taking out culverts or destroying. We've had lots of stuff. I had an area called and I think it's touched on here, legislation. I mean, as the provincial government downloads whatever they want to download to us, that's certainly a threat to us in terms of costs and things like that will be. I don't know whether this is a threat. I sort of feel a lot better after having some discussions, but data security, of all our information on people and that sort of thing, I think is a potential threat. But again, I don't think I feel comfortable about that after having some discussions. I think a threat in some ways is, and I don't know what we could ever do about it, is somehow the lack of community services. We're not an urban area, and nor am I suggesting we should be, but that's what keeps a lot of people from moving here, right? That also is the reason why a lot of people do move here. So it's a double-edged kind of sword. I also had down environmental hazards. I think that's covered maybe other places, but I just had as a topic, environmental hazards. The York landfill, I think, is a potential threat. During the next 4 to 6 years, right? And the potential for that to turn into a transfer station or whatever is done with it. And I think investment or the continued investment or ongoing investment in infrastructure in our municipality, as seen by some of our asset management studies and things like that. So roads and bridges, buildings, things like that. I don't know that that's a threat, but if we don't put monies into it, it certainly will become a threat. Anyway, those are some of the things that I have. Thank you.
Okay, just
Ongoing increased investment.
Increasing.
yeah,
Decreasing.
keep in mind, these are external things that act upon us. So, I mean, this may be a problem for us in the future, but it's not, I mean, it's not, well, I don't know. Anyway, we can, I guess. At some level, it doesn't really matter, I guess, what box you put things in, as long as we understand what we're talking about here, but. Councilor Bray.
Yeah, a lot of mine have already been mentioned, but I still will put down the our fire hall being too close to the beach in the summer months. It's a real concern, and I think we need to really think about the traffic flow there, the people flow. And I don't have any more down. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Woods.
Everybody's pretty much mentioned everything. The one thing I was thinking about, though, as a threat was if lack of employment opportunity and bringing in younger families to the area is definitely a threat.
Okay. I would probably put that as a weakness, but
Sure.
But in any case. The only other I think the only other one that I had, and these are some good ones here. I'm glad that people brought up the issue of climate change and natural disasters, which are kind of potentially might be related, but the risk, of course, and we don't have any control over these, are the extreme weather events and the possibilities of forest fires and flooding and that sort of thing. And the conventional wisdom says that those extreme weather events are more likely, presumably as a result of climate change. So the likelihood that we would need to have facilities and programs in place and have preparedness to deal with those things is going up, and that's something that is not top of mind. I think hasn't been top of mind for at least not for council in the past, and maybe we need to spend more attention, pay more attention to that. The other one that I had on my list is deteriorating water quality, and this again is a subject that doesn't come up very often, but and some of it may be related in part to climate change, but we're part of the Magnetawan watershed. And we're close to the end of it, of the watershed. We're not the end. The Magnetawan First Nation, you know, is the ones who are right at the end, but some of us who have been involved with water quality for a lot of years have noticed that in fact it's getting worse as time goes on. And the Magnetawan flows, of course, flows through the top of Washkash, and one of the observations that people will tell you is that the water in the top lake, which is where the river flows into the top lake and out the top lake, so most of it doesn't get down into the bottom lake, but the water in the top lake is increasingly dirty, and it's dirty. I mean, various. I'm using that term in quotes, but it's most of that is coming from east of us. You know, it starts way over around Lake Bernard or Doe Lake, you know, and makes its way down through a lot of farmland, a lot of other communities, and eventually gets to us. And it has been deteriorating fairly steadily over the last, well, I mean, over my lifetime, certainly. And it's, I think we may have to put some resources into trying to see how that can be mitigated. We probably need to do it as it probably needs to involve other communities, right? It's not just what we do here, but what others upstream of us do. So anyway, that's I would put that as a threat.
Could I
And of
add-
course, it plays into our, you know, our environmental initiatives that we have. Maybe it's covered under environmental hazards there. I don't know, but that's.
Could I add one more, Mr. Mayor, that I
Yeah.
just thought of? And it might have been there under legislation, but I have downloading of infrastructure from provincial or federal government. One example of that would be the dams. I think that's a very big threat to us, and the costs involved and such things like that. So downloading infrastructure from provincial, federal governments, such as dams.
I have one more also, Mr. Mayor. I think the school board. I don't know the exact name of it, North Bay School Board.
Near North District.
Yeah, I think that's a threat. That's something that we don't necessarily control, but we already had a motion last month on the mega school. One of our greatest assets of this community, and would be a disaster, is if we ever lost the school. And that's a decision that's outside of our hands. I don't think that'll happen. And I don't want people, well, there's no one on Zoom. I don't want anyone to start going down the road that we're going to lose our school, because the last time I think we brought that up, that's what went across the internet. So, but I think that's a real threat to us. If they're ever forced to close schools, you know, you're looking, is it Magnetawan, is it Whitestone, is it whatever? So that's a, you know, again, a threat to us, I think. Decisions, that's a good problem. It's not the board itself. It's the decisions they make. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, all right, Kathy Lamb, did you want to?
Outside of these boxes, like I've identified a few things that don't fit into threats. Is that okay? There's just three.
Well,
Four.
okay.
Okay. So one of the strengths, I mentioned it during the break, was marinas. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's been captured. Pluralized marinas. Okay, oh, the other things. I think that a weakness is the lack of total accessibility in municipal buildings. And I think opportunities, there are two of them. There's an opportunity to increase programs for adults and seniors. So those people who move up here, say, what could I do? Nothing to do. There's a huge chance there. And secondly, I think there's an opportunity to support economic development in this community through small businesses. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, just going on from what you said, Kathy, could it be an opportunity, investment in greater accessibility as an opportunity that we should invest in greater accessibility? Yeah.
Let Paula catch up here. Did you get all the things you wanted to? Did you get all the things you wanted in last?
I think she did. yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Do a quick repeat, Kathy.
Sorry, Michelle. A quick repeat. Okay, one was strength was marinas, pluralized.
That's it.
Secondly, a weakness is the lack of total accessibility in municipal buildings.
And
The opportunities to increase programs for adults and seniors, and that kind of falls in with the fact that our fits with our population and the fact that this building is underutilized and we have a great Ardbeg Community Center. And the last one was through small businesses to support economic development. Thank you.
yeah, that's actually that's should be on the opportunity side. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, yeah, okay, all right. Okay, sorry. All right, thank you. No, I thought that I saw one of our remote participants had his hand up, but he seems now to have disappeared from
He keeps jumping in and out, so I keep watching and let him back.
the. But in any case, all right, so is there anything else that you want to do? We're just, we probably spent a little bit more time than I had planned on this, but it's been a lot of good suggestions. All right, so
I think that's an excellent.
you want to do it now? Okay. All right, okay, so let's just take a quick break and then we're going to go down through the next high level parts of the plan here. See if we pick up a little time.
That's a real good list.
People here, that we are making a list and it will be posted on the
Yeah.
website.
I'm really glad.
Job,
A
Paul.
lot of quality, because I was just thinking, Whitestone Lake, was, I think it was 2 years ago, had the first algae bloom that I've ever seen.
Good
Yeah.
exercise,
Reported
eh?
by the ministry, or by the health unit.
Yeah.
Which tells us, like it's never been on our lake. On Whitestone. So that's a bit of a worry
Yeah, no, it's,
that way.
I,
Is there something I missed?
No, you did a great job. Did a fabulous job.
Forget what it was, opportunities where I said water.
It's in there, water taps.
Yeah, I think where you have it there, the road.
Large
Yeah.
segmentation?
I was just saying hard.
hundreds
A lot of trees.
hundreds of feet away from us.
Oh, you did a great job, Paula. That's, I'd have every third word misspelled, so there you go.
It's okay. You're going too fast. Kathy, she's going way too fast. It's like, you try to calculate words.
Well, I need a pen. Well, I lost it, but no, I didn't, I need my red pen back. Switch that with Elaine.
That's right.
Get my red pen back.
If Paris
Please.
Three had crossed the highway and got going, we.
I was watching the news last night and all of a sudden a snowmobile light was right in front of my cottage. I'm turning around. I thought, who the hell's out at 11:30 at night on the snowmobile, right? Wow. Did you see that? Or you were upstairs?
Now Jeff to find out the snowmobile. Got to find out the other half. So we couldn't even leave.
Oh, that's a good list, eh? That's what we're supposed to do, right? A SWOT analysis like that. See, I think this is the most important document of the whole municipality. Yeah.
And lots of people complained and said that they would all be for it, well, and screaming at us, but it's a strategic plan and all of it.
But it, how are you? No, this to me, yeah, I've said through 3 elections and I was part of the first one in 215 and updating it in 219. This is the most important document in the entire municipality. Because what we'll end up doing once you get all the action items and who's responsible and the timing of it, whatever, is the 4-year plan of council, right? And the official plan. It's just one little subset of 100 different things, right? But yet, as you say, no one's, it's like the textbook. Yeah, like the textile plan, all these bitches and complainers on social media, right? They go, oh, I want to see the vote. As soon as you post the result of what's been negotiated, rather than say, oh, good. They just don't, they don't say a word. They don't say a word. They don't even say thank you, or kiss my butt or anything. Right, nothing. They shut down because it's too good for them. They do. A negativity. I can bitch, I can complain, I can bitch, I can complain. Oh, that's solved. Oh, let's go bitch about over here. Oh, let's go bitch about over here. Hopefully I'm not on tape here or something, you know. So.
Regular council meeting.
Well, this is giving an idea. It's like
The ordinance for the 24th, really. No, we can't do anything right now, right after this meeting. We better.
This, I was saying, is the most important document of the entire
So
municipality.
afterwards, let's go down, because we may have to.
No, it's I mean, this is the plan for the next 4 years.
Can you just
And-
save?
and this is what I always did this.
I
love
did.
this sort of-
Oh, I always do. Trust me.
Get rid of that coffee cup.
That's the only copy that we get. We have. All right, so I'm gonna open my back.
Oh, we're waiting for Janice, I guess. She's coming.
It's a subset of this, only a little subset.
Give a couple of minutes, I guess.
Well, we're not getting into that. because-
With the library. to the commons. When my phone was ringing.
Well, you're going to be back from the point of reports. Important document
When do you think the leaves will go from snow?
Ours is,
No, I think it was somewhere.
gooseneck.
Oh, yeah, they said-
You know, I could have,
That's what it is.
I could have had. I could have.
Oh. Dan.
I saw that.
The older I get, the more.
Yeah, he told me, 'cause
gold
he-
sets in my-
You know why I knew is because there was emails that I sent you 2 weeks ago that you said, thank you, Michelle. So I thought,
And so,
Yeah, I can feel when it's.
you know,
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't see my stamp item. So I would get what to do.
Because you say it's replaced, right?
Oh, yes, so he did.
he actually helped 3 counselors this week with their email, because everybody does different.
Yes, yeah. Who will
And
I
has
vote?
different issues, so I think we're solid now.
I did.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if we can get back to, so the next thing that we wanted to do was to go through the high level elements of the plan. Oh, and by the way, Paula, I think the plan is actually up on the screen somewhere there.
You may want to help.
Hmm?
You may want to help find. it.
All right, okay, I'm just gonna help her find it. So, oh yeah, there you are. Okay, so if you just want to go back to the very, not the very beginning, but the page that starts with the vision. So there, you'll see there are 3 elements on this. Those of you who can, in the room, who can see the screen, there's 3 elements on this one page: vision, mission, and core values. And these were established, these are the ones that were established when we first did this back in 2015. But what I thought we should do is we should just go take a look at them and see if anybody feels strongly that they should be changed. They're very what will I say, aspirational, I guess, statements that are there to kind of remind everybody what things we think are important, what we're trying to accomplish. The vision one, of course, is a forward-looking thing, and the way I like to think of vision is to say, all right, what is the future that we would like to see? And maybe we're not, maybe all of the things that we say there are, we're not there yet. So it's not a description of our current situation. We just did that a minute ago, but or the last hour and a half, I guess. But where you know, it's kind of the ideal picture that we like to see, if you will. So the elements of it are that there are 3 elements. The services that the community wants and needs are delivered efficiently and effectively. Whitestone's unique character, beauty, and quality of life are preserved and enhanced. And Whitestone's resources are managed prudently for the benefit of present and future generations. So, but anyway, I'll throw this open for discussion if there are any changes that you want to make. We could. I'm not trying to tell you that we can't expand the list, but the idea is like if you had 10 other things you wanted to add to it, my advice to you would be that's probably you're probably getting too much into detail somehow. So But maybe there are some things that you think are really, really important that we've left out. So anyway, I'm gonna throw it open and see what. Maybe we can just go around and see what comments people have. Counselor Nash, why don't you start?
Yeah, I think just one other item I'd add there, under the three that we have. I'm just gonna use two words, but we might be able to expand it into a bit further of a sentence as a group. I think sustainable development should be one of our visions.
Okay. Well, let's just capture that for the moment and see where we go with that. Okay, so, thank you. Counselor Lamb.
Yeah, just one word. In the first part, it says the services the community wants and needs. I don't know, it's a bit bothersome to me, the wants. Certainly needs are, I would reword it to say the services the community needs are delivered efficiently and effectively. And I could give a lot of examples where, there could be planning items where people want things, but that isn't either a need or whatever. I take us, back to the pool, what's a want, what's a need. And I think that gets in the way of a lot of things. So I think the, supplying the services that the community needs is important. And maybe it's a subtle thing, but I would be taking the word wants out of there.
Paula, if you want, all you need to do is just highlight, you can highlight wants and needs. You're in edit mode there. You say, well, sorry, just wants and highlight the wants and then we'll know that that's you. The suggestion was to remove it. Okay, let me ask Councilor Bray.
No, I don't have any other additions at this time. Thanks.
And Councillor Woods is saying the same. So let me then just get a sort of a straw opinion. Do you would we be agreeable as a group to remove the word wants ands from in front of needs? Is there anybody who doesn't like that or? Okay, I'm okay with it. I think maybe we can just treat that as an editorial change and take those two words out. So what about what about the concept of sustainable development? And probably how this would be worded is something like Whitestone is committed to sustainable development or something like that. But is that something that, and I mean, I realize that's a loaded term that we're going to have to talk about some more at a more detailed level, but is that something that everybody thinks we should put in or
what if it was Whitestone is committed to development in a sustainable manner?
Yeah, sure.
Whitestone is
To
committed
development
in a sustainable manner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Sustainable and responsible.
Responsible.
Yeah,
Responsible,
Sustainable and
sustainable
responsible.
development.
Yes, good.
Oh,
So Whitestone
Um,
is committed to development in a sustainable and responsible manner.
sorry, just a sec. No, I don't have share screen on. I don't, well. No. I don't think so. Sorry, our CAO is trying to share that. No. Well, no,
To develop.
to develop, I would say developing you know, in this.
Development.
If you want to do it that way, I don't have a problem with Whitestone is committed to sustainable development either. It's just,
Sustainable man.
Yeah, I think to.
but anyway, that's,
Development.
is that okay?
To aces.
What I wanted, sorry for the digression there, what I wanted was to see if everybody is agreeable that that you want to add this. We can do it, you know, it's just a question of, is there anybody who doesn't think we should add it? That's.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, because I think what you think of is land development, but it goes far, it's a broader concept. Development is everything, right? And
Hmm.
that's why I like it.
Committed to development in.
Well,
Whitestone is committed to,
developing in a sustainable and
Yeah.
responsible manner. That's,
developing in a,
Or committed to responsible, sustainable development. In one quick sentence.
That would be nice.
Whitestone is committed to responsible, sustainable development.
Yeah.
Shorten it up a bit, maybe.
yeah, I mean, that's.
Perfect.
I don't care. You can have that wording or this, they're both. I'm
Students committed to responsible.
and sustainable development. Those are the choices you have for how you do it. I mean, it's really wordsmithing. I don't know.
I think Ryan, what you said.
I mean, I would prefer to, I have a slight preference for this, for the latter, but I don't. To responsible and sustainable development, if you're gonna do it
Yeah.
that way. Sorry, we're getting Paula tied up in knots here. Whitestone is committed to responsible and sustainable development. That's the most compact
Whitestone
wording.
is committed to responsible,
And sustainable
and sustainable
development. Development. See, and then you can, yeah, you just. Yeah, right. So
There you go.
Good word.
are you okay with that? Everybody okay with that?
Yep,
All right,
mission.
is, I'm gonna write it down. It's Whitestone. Is. Committed to. Sustainable. And responsible development. Okay, when the whole thing is over, you can save it, right? By the way, I should have mentioned to everybody what we're going to do. Now, we're doing a little bit more wordsmithing in this part, but the lists that we worked on before, you'll see them in the raw form, and you'll see what we will do is we'll go through, because some of these things can probably be combined together. There's some duplication and so on. So we'll produce a suggested sort of edited version that's a little bit more compact, but you can see we've captured exactly what everybody contributed. So you can see the raw input, you can see what the edited version looks like. And for these ones, you'll see this will come back to you. So are we done with vision? Can we move on to mission?
Yep.
All right. And once again, our mission has 3 elements. Or 3, well, there are 3 paragraphs. There's more elements in it, but I'm going to read it for the benefit of the people who are on the phone, in case you can't. We're still trying to get it so that you can see this file, but do you want me to try and share it from here?
I think so.
Let me try, see, because I can probably do it. Share screen. Let's see where we are. I'm gonna bring it up.
Allow you to share.
Yeah, you have to allow me. So where would the best place be to get it out of? Is it?
I can send it to you.
All right. Did you mail it to me? Okay. Sorry, we're just gonna try and get this for the benefit of those of you who are online. Get it up here. Just take us a second.
Yeah.
See, do I? Oh, okay. I'm not seeing it, but did you send it to me? All right, here it is. All right, I have it. Now let's see if I can share it. Share screen. So,
Just taking it. Yeah. That's
whoops. Let's get it back up again. So folks who are on the Zoom call, you should be able to now see what we're talking about. Anyway, I will read it just very quickly. Our mission is to achieve and maintain a municipality that is sound financially, supportive of appropriate opportunities, protective of the natural environment, and that preserves the unique heritage of the area. We challenge ourselves to diversify and create a more vibrant local economy through collaborative partnerships with existing businesses, service groups, and adjacent municipalities, as well as through proactive efforts to attract new businesses and services. We will create initiatives to include all residents, both permanent and seasonal, in contributing to the betterment of our community. So you can see that there are sort of three kind of different categories of ideas in this. The first one has to do with some important characteristics that we've already talked about. The second one is sort of who we partner with in order to develop new services and so on. And the third and the final one is to be inclusive of both permanent and seasonal, all residents, both permanent and seasonal. So those are the kind of the three ideas that are. So let me open that up to discussion. What do you think about that one? Councillor Lamb.
Yeah, thank you. And I had said it earlier, I would take out in the third paragraph, both seasonal, both permanent and seasonal. In other words, we create initiatives to include all residents in contributing. I don't, again, I said my rationale before. I think that sort of divides the community just by saying it. So I would take those words out.
Okay. Let me ask, how do others feel about this? This was here, of course, to recognize the I guess the issue that Councillor Woods had mentioned earlier in our SWOT discussion, that this this issue has come up in the past. But
Yeah, I think I have no issues with it, Mr. Mayor, removing it. I think it would better reflect the community as a whole.
anybody want to leave it here? Go ahead. Okay, have you got a mic that works over there? at your, oh, sorry. Wanted
If
everybody
I
in
can
Dublin here.
comment as a seasonal resident, I consider myself a resident and therefore part of all residents. And I think the inference is residents of Whitestone, when you move into the community that, some of us are seasonal, some of us are not. But I think, the plan should be for everybody. So I think, getting rid of that great divide or big divide is probably a really good thing to do.
Okay. Councilor Bray.
Yeah, I would agree with this as well. I think that we're getting past the need to distinguish between seasonal and permanent, and that maybe we should move away from that and just talk about all residents. And of course, there will be things that are more important for some than others, but that's the way it is in every place, every community.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, it sounds like there's a consensus to remove that. Would anyone like to include and the notion of all residents of all age groups? Is that something that's important to?
We might be able to, yeah, I think in some ways, if we can think about that, how we would say it, I don't know about all age groups, but certainly being able to include, I think one of the groups we're pretty good at seniors, because seniors are available and come out to things and participate in things. But I really do believe that our young families and our youth don't have the same opportunity to be able to come out and contribute. So I'm not sure how you would put that in, but I kind of agree with that somewhere. I'm not sure where.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, going along that same line, when we say now we will create initiatives for all residents, could we also add the word, we will create initiatives for all residents and visitors in contributing to the betterment of our community? It's not just resident based, but we have a lot of people that come up and might visit, which also might better our community sometimes.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess the question is how can you think of an example of initiative that we would do that would be focused on visitors?
Access to the public lakes, public landings,
Cleanup.
But
the dumps,
yeah, but does that
fall fair.
contributes to the betterment of their experience, I guess, but I know, how does it?
Oh, I think it's the betterment of our community if we have a fall fair as an example and people come to it, or anyways, it was just an idea. I think there was.
Okay, well. What's the will of the group here? I'm not. Do you want to include? Well, I think the suggestion was that it would say we will create initiatives to include all residents and visitors in contributing to the betterment of our community. I'm just asking, do you want to do that? We can put that if you want.
Even create initiatives to include residents and visitors of all age groups.
I mean, maybe our short-term rental bylaw is is,
Would it,
is an example of something.
would it read better at just at the end of it if we did go with that instead of to the betterment of our community to the community? So at the end and contributing to the betterment of the community instead of our community.
Well, it is our community. And it's. I don't think it's the visitors' community. I mean. Sorry, go ahead.
That, it just doesn't quite sound right in contributing to the betterment. We will create initiatives. That contribute to the betterment of our community? So including residents and visitors of all ages.
Yeah,
can-
well, let me,
What is it?
yeah, I guess. The concept of this original point was to attempt to engage and involve. We were going to create, we're going to have initiatives that were designed to engage and involve all of the residents. And again, the idea was to be inclusive of the of those whether they were permanent or seasonal or not. But anyway, the idea was was that they would be engaged in contributing to the betterment of the community. And so it's not, it's not a statement that says that we're going to do things. Well, I say not for their betterment, but for the betterment, and not for betterment of a particular group, but for the betterment of the community. And so we're trying to engage them in doing things for the betterment of the community, right?
So, we're getting bogged down, okay? I don't, I mean, the suggestions are good, but we'll never get through this. And I would suggest that it's just respectfully, that instead of reading out each section, like I've got lots of them I have no comment on at all. So if we were, after this section, if we were simply to say, anyone got a problem with, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, and go along that way, then I think we really did a good job when we went through the SWOT analysis. But if we're gonna wordsmith this and spend 10 minutes on one word, and we'll never go through it. So we don't need to read it. Once you get over to communication, you'd be reading on a whole lot. Some of which I suspect there's no input, right? So anyway, that's just my.
No,
suggestion.
I share your concern, Councilor Ham. I think. I was
It's a
just
great exercise.
trying to understand what like I wouldn't know what to bring back. I see two ideas. Idea number one was remove permanent and seasonal. Everybody seemed to agree to that.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we, and the suggestion was add visitors, but not changing the notion of the fact that all of these people are contributing to the betterment of the community, right? Okay. All right, well, let's, we may.
I don't mind putting in visitors. I mean, I own the cottage, but sometimes I have 10 people there and they're all visitors. Like ownership and visitor, like that's very much a part of our community from May until October at least, right? We we expand from 1,100 or 1,200 or whatever to 6,000. So I don't mind putting the word visitors in. I think we
Right.
should put the word in to the betterment of our community. I don't think it has to be but you know, I don't have a big problem with putting in visitors. I think all
Right.
age groups is covered under all residents. You know,
Yeah. All right.
If that helps.
Okay, well, let's, is there anything else under mission, or can we move down to, now to core values?
Mr. Mayor, oh, sorry.
How about we will create and support initiatives?
Sorry?
That first line.
Okay, we will
Create
create and
and
support
support.
initiatives. Okay, that's not a bad suggestion. Okay. All right, all right.
I had one other comment for
Yeah.
the sentence before that, if we're all good with what's been updated there.
Yeah.
So in the second paragraph where we finish, as well as through proactive efforts to attract new businesses and services, I think we could just add one word and change it to as well as through proactive efforts to attract new businesses, comma, services and investment. I think it's really good
That's
that
good.
we try to attract investment in our community.
Is everybody okay with that idea? Investments? I don't know, it's all right. Let's go on to core values. Because we need a chunk of time for these strategic objectives. There are 6 of them there. Conventional wisdom on core values is that you should have 5 or 6, not have a lot. I mean, occasionally, but that's so you want, once again, the idea is to expand the list to 10, but does anybody want to change any of the ones that are there, or?
I'm good with the ones that are there.
Any comments? No?
I just had one really quick one. If we put core values as fiscal responsibility.
Efficiency and cost.
But does
effectiveness.
that not come under accountability?
It might.
Efficiency and cost effectiveness also,
Yeah, that's fine.
right?
Yeah,
I think it's covered.
yeah, I think that was okay. All right, well,
Strategic, yeah.
if we're good to go then to the next section, because this is of course the meaty section. And so the first question I want to ask you, there are 7 things here, and there's nothing. I'm going to say there's nothing magic about this, but this came as these 7, but other than the fact that they came as a result of consolidation of various things that people suggested that came up in discussion. So, and you'll notice, by the way, that one of the fiscal responsibility and accountability are lumped together under. So can we look at the list first of all and say, is there anything that you think, you know, should be
Change.
removed or changed out of those 7 that are there? I'll try and move my screen up so I can get all 7 of them on there. Almost got it. Anyway, go ahead. Is there anybody who? Councillor Lamb.
Yeah, the only, on this whole page 1 to 7, the only word I would change is under number 4. Environmental stewardship. where it says, community with small, rural and instead of the word maximize, I would put the word improve. Again, I come back to all the issues we get into. We're balancing, the environment and development and those sorts of things, right? So if our pure objective is to maximize it, then to hell with development, we're gonna maximize the environment. And I just don't, I think that's the wrong word. I think it should be improved. That's a more balanced approach, right? So that's the only word I would change. I think they're all good. I remember debating them 4 years ago and 8 years ago. They're pretty good objectives, in my opinion. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And anybody else have a suggestion to change these? Is there anything missing from the list that you think that's sort of at this high level of importance? Okay, hearing nothing, we'll
Is everyone okay with putting the word improve?
I'm okay.
I'm fine.
Thank you.
all right. Okay, now. If we then start to take a look, we're kind of dropping down to the next level here and going through the groups. So the first one is communication, and it has 4 items, and these were specific things that council talked about doing. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves the question: is there something of the items under each of these headings? Is there something that we can dispense with, first of all? Is there something that should stay there but should be changed? That's the next option. And the third option is to add something new that wasn't there. So review and renew communication policy. Now that we did do, in fact. Do you feel that there's more work that needs to be done there, or can we take this off the list?
I think there's, oops, sorry.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Lamb.
Yeah, sorry. I think this is an ongoing effort. It's not, we've suddenly reached the pinnacle of communication. Again, I come back to the makeup of our community, that 75% at least of our people aren't here, a lot of them during the winter time. And how do we effectively communicate with them? And I think there's initiatives that we need to take. Today is not the day to get into those initiatives, but that we should take to improve communication to everyone. I think we can use electronic things, et cetera, a lot better than we have been. So I think it's an ongoing thing. We've got a very unique community, and I think again, we've made, the mayor's right. We've made great steps forward. I think when you look 4 years ago to now, great steps have been made. So I think it needs to be kept in there. I don't know whether the wording exactly is right, but I think it needs to be. In fact, I think all these things in some way need to stay in. But anyway, that's my comment.
Okay, is there anyone that wants to get rid of this one? Don't see that. So can we leave it intact the way it is then?
Are we speaking to item 1.2, right?
We're speaking to item
Or just
1.1 so far.
1.1, sorry, that's where I got lost there for a second.
1.1. If there's no change to 1.1, then what about 1.2?
For 1.2, I was just thinking leave the first paragraph, but maybe remove the second paragraph, because I think a lot of that's been undertaken. And I think the first paragraph summarizes part of what was in the second.
Sorry, go ahead. Our CAO has got a comment on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would suggest that paragraph 1 stay, but a little bit of wordsmithing near the bottom end, where it says council is committed to developing to hire a consultant to develop. That needs to change communication strategy. So we do have a communication strategy that we're working through. So I would say it's maybe today's not the day to do that wordsmithing, but that can be cleaned up because the consultant has already been hired. We have a strategy in place. We're just working through some of the details that haven't been done.
I'm sorry, which version are you looking at? Oh, are you looking at the one on the screen? Because the one that I put up for here, you see is an edited version. It's got a few additional things that are on there that got consolidated into when it was, you see, this is.
Yeah, that's.
So just.
That's the one I'm looking at.
Just a note for the folks of you who are, for those of you who are watching this on Zoom, the actual strategic plan that you would find on the website has actually just 2 paragraphs, not the 4 paragraphs that are there. The last 3 paragraphs got combined. So once again,
Mr.
our
Mayor.
clerk wants to make, or is suggesting a change to that second paragraph, which reads, council is committed to modernizing and updating the municipal website and Facebook pages, allowing for easy access to municipal news, events, and services. And then in addition, we are committed to ensuring that the audio and recording options for council meetings are enhanced. And I would argue those things have been done, right?
I'm going to send you an updated version. I think the one I sent wasn't.
No.
Well, I'm not sure they have been. I don't think we're at the end game when it comes to audio and video options. We've come a long way, but we're not at the end of that. We're still getting a report back and how we, I think there's more that needs to be done on that. The comment I would have is I wouldn't be putting in Facebook. There's all kinds of Facebook, there's Twitter, there's all kinds of things. I would put social media instead of Facebook. But again, I see this as an ongoing thing, so I don't think I'm for all taking the entire paragraph up. I think there's still a little work to be done. And again, we've done a lot of good stuff, but it's not the end. For instance, how do we get everybody's email so that we're not spending $2,000 on postage, sending out a newsletter 3 times a year, like most organizations. You hit a button and it goes out and emailed to everybody and they read it that way, right? And maybe we've got 200 or 300 email addresses, but maybe we need 2,000, right? And so that could be an initiative. So anyway, that's my feeling on 1.2. Thank you.
So does anybody want to remove 1.2 entirely? No, I'm not hearing that. All right, so the issue is what's in the second paragraph, I guess. That we want to leave the notion that we're committed to modernizing and updating our
Communication system.
our electronic and
Like the weekly
just that updating our communication media, I guess,
Yeah.
really is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
like our weekly letter, I think is fabulous, right?
Yeah,
It comes out every, I think the
Okay.
history thing that comes out every week is fabulous. You get it every week and read it. It's great steps forward.
okay, in the interest of time, I'm gonna circle that paragraph and suggest that maybe we can put something that captures what we still want to do it, right? Is not, we need a paragraph that says what we're gonna do, but not get too far into the specifics. What about 1.3, which is develop a communication strategy?
No one.
I mean, this is almost in some way, I don't know. In some ways, it is almost an elaboration of that second paragraph in 1.2, no? We did, if you recall, we did have a communication strategy that we had some consulting assistance and we put one together. And there are some things, as Councillor Lamb just noted, there are some things that have come out of that strategy. I don't know that it's all implemented, but there's some things that have. Okay. Do we need to do we need to redo the strategy is the question I'm asking.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Councillor Bray.
Well, I think that it's good to have somewhere identified that we need to always review and update, which is, I guess, the in 1.2 committed to modernizing and updating. I think we always have to be doing that. But I think that if we've done most of this, we already have a strategy, a communication strategy. We've already had the consultant. We're working through it. It's probably not necessary to have that whole amount, but somewhere we need to remember that we do need to always be reviewing and updating.
So should we leave this here as and change the idea of developing? Because when we did this before, we didn't really have a strategy at all. So instead of developing, could we review and update? Reviewing and updating. Is that what people would like to do? Yeah, I'm going to share that. And sorry, once again, for those of you online, I'm getting you the correct version of the strategic plan here. Go back to where Zoom. I don't know why that's there. Don't need that anymore. There's a Zoom meeting. I'm going to share that screen right now. That is, if I can. Okay. It was on the screen.
You know what I would do with 1.3?
What would you do? Please
I
go
would
ahead,
put
Doug.
something like council is committed to continuing, or council is committed to developing, updating and implementing a comprehensive communication strategy and planning framework, period. You can take out with the assistance of a consultant. We've already done that. And that sort of says it's an ongoing thing. And I think the rest is okay. Various communication media will be considered as vehicles for developing key messages and for obtaining ratepayer input and feedback. That's important. And I think the rest is okay. These will include printed newsletters, the municipal website, social media, surveys, and meetings, council meetings, special meetings, town. I think all that is good. I think it's ongoing. And it speaks to Councillor Bray's updating and continuity and that kind of stuff. So it's committed to developing, updating, and implementing a comprehensive communication strategy. That sort of
So what were the words?
council is committed to, I want to say continue to develop, but I don't know what the right word is, committed to developing, updating, and implementing a comprehensive communication strategy,
Developing, is it developing, reviewing,
comma, updating, and implementing.
updating and implementing? Okay.
Yeah,
So-
that sort of gives the continuity thing. right?
Are you gonna capture that? All right, Paula? Thank you. Okay. And we're gonna take out the consultant, right?
Yeah,
So, all right.
we've done that. We can always do it again if we want to, but
Okay, so that's what's happening with number 1.3. And number 1.4, which was communication between staff and council. Does that need to stay there? I think it was, to be honest with you, I think it was focused on a perceived problem that existed at the time we did the. We did the last review, and so it. I'm not sure it needs to, I'm personally not sure it needs to stay there, but.
I think it would be good to stay.
Continue.
I think it would be good to leave in.
I think internal communication is important.
So you want to leave it there?
Yeah, I would say we could just maybe, as you say, do, continue to review and emphasize how important two-way communication is. Something, I don't know, internal communication.
All right, well, we can just put it down as.
We're
as a sort of we'll just put it down for a rewrite. We'll come back with something. If the consensus is to leave it, yeah, go ahead.
How about continued enhancement of internal communication? For the heading.
All right, he wants to say continue enhancement of. Enhancement of internal communication, okay. Good suggestion, all right.
Continue, yeah, there you go.
All right, so now can we go then to? Move it down a little bit here if I can. Number 2 was fiscal responsibility and accountability, and there were 5 headings.
Mr. Mayor. Before we get on to number 2, could I just ask a question in general?
Yeah,
And maybe I missed a step here. And I think you might have asked it, but I think I might have misunderstood. I know under strategic objectives from the last strategic plan, we had 7 objectives. Which were listed out. Communications, fiscal responsibility, management systems, environmental stewardship, maintenance of our infrastructure, economic development, and building communities. Would we have an opportunity to just, when I say review those 7, I think you might have asked that, maybe I misunderstood. Oh, sorry, and I think I might have misunderstood. Will we as council have a time to go over to see if there's any other strategic objectives that we want to see in the new plan, not what was here from the last plan, but actually what we as council would like to see in the new strategic plan, because I had a number of items that I put, what will our priorities be or objectives? But I know we're just going through these 7, but there might be a bunch of things that we as council would like to add to the 7 instead of going through what was here from the last strategic plan. I don't know if we might want to reverse a step, or maybe if I missed something.
Well, yeah, I actually did ask the question whether there was anything. Again, there were. These are the high level headings that we had. We could add to them. We could have taken some away.
Yeah,
Maybe we went too quickly over that, but I didn't hear anybody say they wanted to take any of them away. There were only just a couple of editorial changes, so.
like one of
And
the.
again, if there's something, it depends what the item is that you have. If it's something that fits under one of those headings, then we would get to it in this pass that we're going through right now. But if it's a completely different heading that is not one of those, then we would have to add it. So I would need to know, I suppose I didn't hear anything, which is why I moved on, but.
Yeah, and sorry about that. Yeah, like a couple that I'm not sure if are here just for discussion. Might be the official plan update. Future of I had official plan update. Lake data water testing might be a strategic objective. Future, planning board, those types. So I'm not sure if they're here or somewhere else.
If
Go
I
ahead,
may,
Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, a lot of those, Councillor Nash, are going to be caught up in the action plans,
Oh,
okay? Like, I've got a whole list. I've got 25 things that I want in there, but I don't want them as strategic objectives. Like official plan, what we're going to do with the Twist property, but like those aren't strategic objectives. They'll fit into one of these 7. It's my feeling. So they're good points and they need to be put in the plan, but I think that's step 2. Not step 1, which is what we're doing today.
So I guess though the question is, the water quality, there's a heading called environmental stewardship. Okay, so the water quality can go under there, but where would the official plan update go?
Yeah, just in my thought, I think we need to.
I'm kind of wondering in this case if
It's more than,
if Councillor Nash has a point that there isn't really a heading for it to go under, and we might.
I gotta look at that, or succession planning might be another one that I don't know where that would fit under here.
not only the official plan, it's the zoning bylaw that then accompanies it and all that.
Yeah, there isn't, my point is, there isn't a strategic objective that talks about land use planning.
That's true.
So I don't know. I'll tell you, my honest reaction is to say, yeah, that's a valid suggestion. A lot of the other things that will come up, I'm pretty sure they will fit under one of these, but that one, I don't know. I mean, land use planning is something that every municipality does. We did not give it, in our previous versions of this plan, we did not give it any attention that I'm aware of. So,
Mr. Mayor,
well, it's under, okay.
management systems.
So, yeah, sorry, our CAO has just pointed out that it's under 3.6, management systems. I guess we could, I, as long as there's a place to put it, So I stand corrected. There is a place.
Yep, all right.
I don't think that we had anything detailed about it, but we can come back and get the details, we capture the details under there, so. All right, thanks, I'm. Let's keep watching in case we come to something that doesn't have a place for it to go. When we get down into this, into the priorities, right? So, if we look at number 2, fiscal responsibility and accountability, maintain an open and 2.1 was maintain an open and transparent budgeting process. And once again, we had, I think it's fair to say the last time we did this is a certain amount of angst about the process that we followed to do this, and we have made some improvements to it, I would argue. I think. But do you want to, I mean, it says maintain, so we don't need to take, does anybody want to take it away or change it, or? Councillor Lamb, did you have a comment?
No, I'm dealing with the whole page.
All right, what do you, what?
So on this whole page, number 2, the only changes I had were under 2.2, where it says Whitestone will have in place a comprehensive inventory of municipal assets. I think we have that now, so wouldn't you change it to has? Whitestone has in place a comprehensive, or is that untrue?
We're half there.
Or half there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
really, yeah.
Okay, so that's, I don't need that change. And then under 2.5, and it goes through the whole document, so I don't have to speak to it all over the place. Lots of places that starts council will attempt, and then in other areas it says the municipality will. Right, so we need consistency throughout the document. I don't think it's necessarily council. I think it's the municipality throughout the document, right? Or we will or something, but half of it says council and the other half says the municipality. So I think that needs to be cleared up. I don't know
Right.
what the best wording is. I think it's municipality, but
Yeah,
that,
I agree with you. Yeah.
okay, so I don't have to talk to it as.
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have under 2. If anyone else says anything, that's how we can giddy up this thing. Deal with it as a whole subject. Right? Not each
Okay.
one. I'm done. I'm on to 3. Thank you.
Well, okay, are there any other changes that other people want to make to number 2? Anything in number 2?
Mr. Mayor.
I would, well, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No.
You go first.
I was just gonna say, I think number 2, it says create. We have created a robust asset management plan. We're still populating it, so I would probably change that to complete implementation of asset management plan or something like that, just so. Because this was, when we did this, this was a new idea, not a new idea, but we hadn't started it. And since we started it, it's become mandatory, right? We're obligated to do it whether we want to or not now by law, which we weren't at the time. We were going on a limb, but I'm just gonna make a little note here for that. Anyway, what did you want, Councillor Nash? What did you want to add?
I had, when I reviewed this to see adding an item, maybe it would be number 6. Review and improve upon our procurement policies for tendering. I think we should really review that and see if it needs to be updated. So I'd like to see an item added under 2.6. I'm not sure the wording that we'd need. Maybe we can work on that.
So,
as a
okay,
group.
so the suggestion is to add an item on improving procurement policy. Is there any support for that?
Could I suggest that maybe that one could go under 2.1 as another bullet? Is that possible?
Well, or yes, the CAO has just pointed out to me that it's actually also potentially in 3.6 under management systems, but
And I look
I
at it,
think it is a management system. I guess. I don't know.
I look at it and say it's a fiscal responsibility that we ensure that we're doing our procurement policies as they're noted and as they're outlined. And that we're doing it as the policy reads now, and also looking to improve upon those policies. So I think tendering procurement is a very big fiscal responsibility, and I believe it should have its own line item. Just like capitalizing on external sources of funding grants, I think that's very important, but I think tendering where a municipality and hundreds of thousands of dollars go through those accounts, I think it's a big priority that we added as an item.
Well, Councillor Lamb.
Yeah, again, having been through this before. This is all kind of motherhood that we're going through today, okay? You're gonna find over the next 4 years that you're not even gonna pay too much attention to all that we've talked about this morning. It's in the next phase, which is all the action plan that we're going to do, that I agree 100%. There's a bullet point about reviewing that specifically that Councillor Nash is talking about, and other things. I agree that we need to review them. And we have to put timing in and who's responsible and that sort of thing, and it'll fit in there. It's an important thing, whether it's a separate objective or not, I don't know. But again, the last part of this and the next exercise is going to be the interesting one. And all those things Councillor Nash has said will be in there.
Okay, well, I think maybe what we could do is we could put a bullet point under 2.1 to list it, because that's just a sort of a cataloging of things. I personally am not in favor of it, of giving it the status the status of a strategic objective on the same level as the other ones that are listed on this page, to be honest with you, because I mean, we did do a fair bit on that. We did revise the policy. I'm not saying it's not important, but we did. We went from a fairly ad hoc process to one that is at least defined and is being followed to the best of our ability. So anyway, I think we probably should stay at a fairly high level. Is there anything else about number 2 that you think is really out of line, or no?
No, so we're gonna add a bullet point under 2.
Yeah, I've made a note to add a bullet point called something about procurement policies. We'll add wording to put it in there. Under 2.1, there's room for another bullet point, so we'll just put a bullet point there. Okay, number 3, management systems. What do you want to change on? Councillor Lamb.
Yeah, the only thing I have on this whole page is under 3.3. I would, instead of putting council intends to define specific performance objectives, I would put council will continue to define. Because I think we've now done that or a great deal of it. And I have no other changes on 3, so I'm now up to 4. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna move it down to item 3, so we have it here. Okay.
And just under 3.6, I know that's where we thought the official plan could rest. It reads right now, council will review established policies, procedures and processes to bring them up to date and to ensure their consistency with the strategic plan, the Whitestone official plan and municipal practices. Again, I might be beating a dead horse here, but I think it's very important somewhere in here, we need to mention the update of the official plan. It's not to bring them up to date to the official plan when we're needing to update an official plan.
Update OP and zoning bylaw. Okay, I don't know, I'm supportive of that.
I think we should also put in zoning bylaws, shouldn't we?
Yes, the official plan and zoning bylaw go together.
Yeah.
You can't do one without the other.
So we should say the official plan, comma, zoning bylaw.
Or could we?
Well,
add-
this part at the top talks about consistency, but I think we need to add another paragraph that says,
Yeah. Yeah, 3.7.
you know. Well, yeah. I don't know whether it can go under 3.6, but we will make a specific specific. Yeah. Anything else about? Yeah, anything else about the items on 3? Okay. If not, sorry, did you have? Okay. I'm gonna update my screen here to move to page 7. It seems to be taking its time on my screen, but anyway, well, not sure why, but. You got the same thing I do, eh?
Yeah, you're buffering.
But why?
Yeah, a bunch on this one.
We haven't lost our internet or anything, have we? Well, okay, folks who are online, we're trying to get you the next page, but anyway. Number 4 was environmental stewardship. What are the things that you would like to change there? I see a lot of our important items are there covered there. Councillor Lamb.
Yep, thank you. Got a whole bunch on this one, so. I think throughout the document, like 4.1, I put down. It said council will increase communication. I think council will continue to communicate and collaborate with the conservation and lake associations.
And you want to say we'll continue
We'll
to,
continue to communicate and collaborate with the conservation and lake associations. 4.2, I don't have any comment. 4.3, the municipality of Whitestone, instead of will encourage and support programs, will continue to encourage and support. We've done a lot of programs already on Whitestone and other lakes, so I think we'll continue.
yeah,
I think 4.4 needs a complete rewrite. That's about our recycling and hazardous waste. You know, we've now moved to mandatory recycling, you know, clear bags, all that sort of thing. Councillor Woods worked on the committee on that. So that whole 4.4 needs to just simply be updated. And I don't think we need to talk about in detail what needs to be updated. I think staff can probably do that based on the information that we have. Because we've come a long way and there's other stuff that needs to be done. I think, well, we'll get into that in the action. Plan for the future of landfill sites. Again, that needs to be updated with current information. And again, I'll just say update. I don't want to get into the detail of it. But obviously York landfill is on our scope now, where it wasn't so much 4 years ago. The only other thing I'd say under 4 is the name Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. That's been changed. Hasn't it been changed? No, is that what it is now? Ministry of Natural Resources. It used to be M&R, right?
No.
Is that the correct name?
There's a new name.
Yeah, it's gone back to Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry.
Oh,
It was separated again from Northern Development and Mines. That was a short-lived. So yeah, that is correct. That. I think that's it is.
That's all, that's all I have under 4. I'm on to 5. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I had one thing that I'm not sure where it should go, whether it's more in the actual action plan. But some wording around planning for energy efficiencies within our buildings and vehicles.
Energy efficiency. Okay, so that would be an extra point to add to that, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I just was,
probably.
What was that?
Which item are you at?
It'd be like a 4.7, I think, probably would be the energy efficiency one. Because there's nothing covering that anywhere.
no.
We might be able to. Okay. Okay. We seem to have, we seem to not have anything to share for our. With our folks on Zoom, and I don't know why that is. I'm just trying to figure out what's causing that at the moment, but. It looks like it has lost the.
This is a broadband issue.
Hmm?
This is buffering. I think it's a. This is an internet issue. That's what I'm thinking.
Can you tell if people are? Let's see what.
Let's just wanted to continue it off. See what I can, Mr. Mayor.
All right, yeah, I think we're gonna have to do that. Sorry. I've. I guess I'm gonna temporarily stop sharing. Let me figure out what's going on here. Oops. Okay, now I've lost the whole Zoom. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry, but I'm gonna let our CAO worry about that for now. And so is there anything else on number 4?
Mr. Mayor, I have one.
Councillor Woods, yes.
Just to see how everyone feels about this. 4.1 outreach to conservation associations. With the change, I think it was Councillor Lamb suggested, it says council will continue to communicate and collaborate with the conservation and lake associations that exist within the bounds of the municipality as a means of focusing our collective efforts on environmental stewardship. I think we should change the heading to not say conservation associations. And I think we should remove where it says conservation and lake associations and put in various community groups. We do absolutely include the associations, but we have a lot of other groups that are more involved and always involved with environmental stewardship, right? We got the Rod and Gun Club. We have multiple different various groups that look at and should be looking at ways that we can improve our environment, right? Not just the lake associations and the conservation associations.
Yeah, and I think, Brian, that helps earlier when we talked about residents, full-time seasonal. I think that's a very good idea. To update the outreach to a different,
All community groups, right?
community groups. Along with collaborate with community groups that exist within the community. I think that's a very good way of putting it.
So how about if we said council would continue to communicate and collaborate with the conservation and lake associations and other community groups that exist within the bounds of the municipality? Is that okay?
I think that's personally, Mr. Mayor, I think that's again separating everybody. I think leaving it just to community groups. Doesn't matter if you're a lake association or just an association or, I can,
Could be a road association, right?
could be a road, rod and gun. Could be so many different things. Community groups and associations even, just take out the word conservation. Outreach to community groups and associations.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but on the other hand, I think the optics of removing the two, not the two, but removing the large contributors. I mean, when we built when we built the environmental stewardship committee, the effort was to include representatives from all of these groups that you've mentioned, and I guess to remove the idea of lake associations, which are the Whitestone Conservation Association and some of the other lake associations are probably our largest associations, and I guess I have a reluctance to just remove the. I'm all in favor of being inclusive of the other groups. Don't get me wrong. I think they're important and we should include them, but I guess.
Mr. Mayor, through you, I look at it and say, we're using the word conservation or cottage associations. We're supposed to be inclusive of everybody by just leaving it again to community groups and associations. A conservation association, a cottage association should have no more right in the outreach than any other group or association or community. And I don't think we should itemize it that we're giving them any more or any less outreach than any other community group. I don't know if maybe we can ask council what they think in a vote or something like that, if we have outreach to community groups, as Councillor Woods had suggested, and see what people feel about that. And associations, if we want, just in general. I think that encompasses associations, would encompass a lake association, it would encompass a conservation association, it would encompass a road association. It would encompass, so many things that are there.
Well, I don't know. Is there what's the wish of the group, I guess? I mean, the heading understand is conservation associations, and conservation, these are groups that are concerned that have a specific concern with conservation, right?
I think
With environmental stewardship. That's the purpose of it. So, I mean, there are, anyway,
So I guess,
I think that's a pretty broad net. I don't.
I guess my feeling, I don't mind taking the word conservation. I would put in under line 2, in collaboration with community conservation groups and associations. So you put the conservation down there. I think you need to keep the word, no, on the second line, where it says collaboration with community groups and associations. I would put
Okay.
community conservation groups and associations.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the screen here. We weren't talking about changing the heading of 4.1. We were just talking about changing.
No, I
the
think
text.
Councillor Nash was talking
no,
about
we-
changing 4.1.
Yeah, we did speak to changing the title of it. That was the whole,
That's why it's up there.
that's why it's been changed.
Conservation is crossed out. That's what Councillor Nash talked about.
But I don't see why. It's not a question of community. I mean, there are all kinds of community groups. But we are talking about groups who have a specific focus on conservation.
That's why I want to put it on line 2. With
But I-
collaboration with.
Yeah, I want to put it
community-
on line 1. I want to put it up in the.
Well,
heading.
that's why Councillor Nash asked for the feeling of council and I guess a vote or a straw poll or whatever. So that put the question.
Like right now, under outreach to conservation associations, we didn't even have cottage associations up there before. Right?
No, but the
um,
heading,
Anyways, I've asked
I
for a
didn't
vote.
hear when Councillor Woods brought it up, he didn't suggest that we change the heading.
But Councillor Nash did.
if we can just put it to a simple vote and move
Okay,
forward.
but
so we're
what
not
do
here all day.
community? Again, this is this is under environmental stewardship. It's not. I mean, road associations don't exist for purposes of environmental stewardship.
But at the same time, I'm sure lots of road groups might have some ideas and things.
But
with
the
it.
whole community is supposed to be involved in this. Again, go look
That's
at the,
right.
look at the
That's-
environmental stewardship.
Mr.
Committee. There's
Mayor.
individual people in there who have an interest in this, who are participating.
Mr.
It's not-
Mayor, with all due respect, that's why I'm saying it's the entire community. You've just said the word I said. It's the entire community and it's not just conservation associations. Environmental stewardship can be for school kids. It can be for every person in this community. It's not to do just with conservation associations. They're under the header because it'd be encompassed with groups and associations. We're stigmatizing it just like we're stigmatizing using the word full-time residents, seasonal residents. Let's use conservation group and not associations because we want the word conservation group for some reason when it's already there. If we just outline community groups and associations.
All right, so I now don't know where we're at, though. We seem to be just tearing the whole thing up, right? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, maybe we can find an easy compromise. I realize that I realize what Councillor Nash is trying to talk about, and that's more inclusiveness and including all of the community. Maybe we can use a bracket, you know, when we say collaborate with community groups and associations or such as, and include the lake association so that they know that they're still included. But we also maybe will open it up to other associations or other people who might have an interest. Is that a possibility? Councillor Nash?
Yeah, we could. I don't understand why we're trying to be so inclusive. You know, we've gone so much on the other side of it before to say not seasonal, not full-time, but then for something like this, because it might hurt somebody's feelings with the word conservation group being taken out. I think if we're going to do it one spot, we should do it everywhere. Inclusive is inclusive. It's a broad name. Community groups, as Brian Woods had said. I think is more than adequate, but if we take it to a vote, I think whatever council wants is what we do and we move forward to the next,
All right,
next
well,
item.
okay, so let's go back to the title. Why do you want to remove the word conservation from it?
I've already answered that about 3 times, Mr. Mayor.
No, but you've got community, you've got outreach, it says outreach to community groups and conservation associations. If you've got community groups, what's wrong with leaving the?
Well, I'd go so far as to say outreach to community groups, period. We don't need the word associations. I've already explained. it
Well, all
several
right, are
times.
you, if you do that, are you prepared to put them down in the text at the below it then? That's,
Yeah, I mean, what I had suggested in the title, I don't mind conservation coming out. You could put outreach to communities, groups / associations in the title. And then in the text below, I would again be putting in on the second line, collaboration with community conservation groups and associations. You don't want to talk to them about anything other than environmental stuff, right? Under this title. So you could put conservation in front of community groups and associations. So it's in there, right? So that conservation isn't out totally. So you put it right in front of community groups. Community conservation groups and associations. With the community group, community conservation groups and associations. So conservation's in there and conservation groups are in there. And in the title, I would put outreach to community groups / associations.
all right,
I think
okay,
that's a
fine.
compromise
Is
that
that,
everybody's.
I guess we gotta. Mhm. All right, so outreach to,
Community groups / associations. Oh, well, you know what I mean, /
You can do.
groups, you could put and associations, leave it and associations, that's fine. So I think the compromise is that conservation is still in there, it's just in the text.
okay, all right. So, I don't know, have you captured what? Continue.
I'm just trying to
communicate
find a
and collaborate
compromise here, what everyone's saying.
with the community conservation groups and associations that exist within the bounds of the municipality. Okay, all right. fine,
So it's
that's-
in there, conservation groups are in there, but it's not in. the
Sorry,
title.
was there a comment? Yeah, sorry, you
I'm
need a
ju-
mic, I guess, otherwise people can't hear what it is.
I'm just trying to capture what the changes are here. So that would be the new header, outreach to community groups and associations.
Yep.
And then I'm having a hard time reading that screen, sorry. Council will continue to communicate and collaborate with the community conservation groups and associations.
That exists within the bounds of the municipality, that's what it says.
Okay,
Yeah, the word collaboration, yeah, it's gotta come out, yeah, that's. We'll continue to communicate and collaborate with, not increase communication, no. This.
take out.
What's,
increase communication.
all right, okay, as long as you can capture it, all right. So, I don't know. Are we done with this one or not? With item 4?
If I could, Mr. Mayor, I have.
Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
did you have a comment at the end that you were trying to make?
Whether you're a member of the association or individual.
Good
Okay,
point.
thank you. All right, well, maybe we'll, yeah. All right, so are we done with this item 4 again? I'll ask.
If I might, Mr. Mayor. Just under the item 4.3, monitor and promote water quality. I just want to make sure there might be an item within 4 that would make sure that if we want through, be it the Environmental Stewardship Committee or through the municipality itself, that we can start doing some water quality monitoring. I think it'd be nice to put a point in there that you know, the municipality of Whitestone will encourage and support programs to maintain and enhance water quality. I'd like to see an item in there that notes that the municipality will try to undertake some water testing requirements somewhere in there.
Well, I think that's, I think that is, you know, a next level down item, but yes, and that certainly would come under there. Keep in mind, when we go to publish this, we're going to try to package it so that it fits, you know, so that it can be presented in a, you know, in a form that's easy for everybody to read. All right, so let's go on to number 5. We got about half an hour left here. Maybe we can get through the last few and number 5 is maintenance of our infrastructure. And again, we've got review and update the 5-year road and bridge plan annually, support private road grant protocol, improve information and regulatory signage, and develop a public land strategy. Which, yeah, I don't think we've done too much on, but anyway, what of those do we need to still have 5.1 because I mean, it's kind of in steady state, right?
Yeah, the only, again, on this page, because again, we got 4 pages to go in a half hour. So the only change, I just said under 5.1, staff to update it, whatever needs updating. I didn't get into the detail of exactly what it is, but we just need to update that. Again, this is a good example of what I said earlier. If you look at 5.2, it says the municipality, but yet the next one, 5.3 says council, and 5.4 says council. So it's, again, that consistency throughout the document, right? Other than that, I don't have any problem with number 5. So I'm over to number 6. Thank you. I think 5.1, like for instance, federal and provincial funding is a very important thing. And we need to continue to update our bridge management and all that. I think a lot of that is needed, right? So, staff update is got it. Okay, thank you. Is that your way of telling me that?
Okay. Anything else about number 5? All right. Okay, number 6 is economic development. So, what have you got on this page? Councilor Ram.
I don't have anything, so that's,
Oh,
I'm telling you, don't have anything. The only thing that hit me is economic development, so much relates to broadband and internet and that kind of stuff, right? It is the core to a lot of stuff, right? People moving here, if they, home-based business, all that stuff. So I don't know whether, I guess the internet will be captured in the detail, but it's so important. That I don't know that it shouldn't be a separate item to say, you know, we will continue to do everything we can do to get. And the mayor's done a lot of things. Pardon? Who's the lady speaking in the other, oh, sorry.
Don't.
I know what she said. She's been saying that for 52 years, so, sorry. I guess it's, oh, okay, 6.1, thank you.
The last sentence is with 6.
I withdraw my remarks.
Must refer to it. Yes, she's right. But yeah, it's,
You're right.
okay, so look, we're on a roll here. Is that it for number 6? Is there anything else that you? All right, well, we'll. Let's then go on to number 7 and just see where it goes. Number 7 has 2 pages. It's got 9 things in it. What, and some of these are comments that have been made earlier today. Assets and facilities not well known or utilized. The school, community involvement, the library, the community improvement programs, which we haven't done much on. Promote tidiness. Manage recruitment and appreciation of volunteers, recognize milestones, promote health and safety. What have you got for this one?
Here we go. Not a
Councilor
lot.
Lamb.
Building community, number 7.4, the proper title, or the, I guess
Yes,
that's the
yeah.
proper title is, or I'd like to see Whitestone Public Library and Technology Center.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
what it's known as.
Yeah.
But the official name, I think, still is Whitestone Hagerman Memorial Public Library. The whole section, the library board, which I'm on, will be updating their mission statement and changing it. So they will come back to this, to our group and give us those changes, so that can be inserted in there. So that whole line.
Yeah.
Will be updated. I
Yeah, it
guess.
needs to be updated because there's
Yeah.
it says we're going to expand the library. Well,
Yeah.
that's been done,
Well,
so.
yeah, the library can put on the agenda that paragraph and discuss it and then come back with a whole change to it.
Okay, all right.
7.6. Promote the beautification community. Vote. Lot of stuff, public gardens, sports field, green spaces, parks, playgrounds, that sort of thing. Let's bring them along. I don't know if there's any change I'm suggesting there. 7.7, I think the recognition is good, and I thank staff for all their work in that area. I think we can improve our recruitment of volunteers. I don't know how we do that, but that's again in the detail. Other than that, I don't have anything to say. I don't think I have anything to say after that, because I think I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Councilor Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just was wondering if we might be able to add, I didn't have any comments for what's on there. I would like to see one item be added if we could, and I requested it be added. And that was under 7.1. I know we talked about a lot of promoting items or support. And I'd like to see something under 7.1 that would say promote public access to our lakes and trail systems. And then we can come up with some wording that might be after that, but that would be the heading. Promote public access to our lakes and trail systems.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public access to lake and trail systems. Yeah. Kathy.
Problem with the word 7.6. Promote kindness. Parent is like, kids are in daycare and you're sitting in home with tidy up time. I think there's a better word like promote clean environment or something like that to replace the word tidiness. Doesn't matter, maybe that's my feeling about that particular word. Thank you.
Okay, promote. What do you want to replace that with? Promote a clean environment. Yeah, I mean, this is, you're not disagreeing with the, the intent, like the intent of this was to focus on, the things that would be in sort of property standards bylaws in other communities, right? Where. Yeah, so it's just the wording, yeah. I don't know, I guess that's what we came up with at the time. I'm not fixated on it. Yeah, we can.
Cleanliness,
What?
cleanliness.
That means you gotta wash your hands and your face, right?
Put a mask on.
Yeah. 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 Promote a clean environment. Okay, I
Promote
think we can.
Sorry, I have one more. 7.3, it says again in there, it says permanent and seasonal. It should be just all residents, not both permanent and seasonal. 7.3 in the verbiage.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And the other thing, I don't know whether this is a really important thing to me. Again, when I was up in Ardbeg, to not only the meals that were up there, but the music on Thursday nights, right? It really hit me, the dichotomy of the difference between cottagers on Whitestone Lake and what was going on in Ardbeg on Thursday night. And I thought, oh my God, if we could just have people visit both, like understand both those lifestyles and values and all that sort of thing, we would take amazing steps within our community. But there's a lot of people, a lot of seasonal people who have never been to Ardbeg, let alone experience that. So I don't know where that goes in there, but that to me is a really core thing to build community that our council, if we can come up with some strategies as to, how to intermingle those two groups better, how to have them communicate to one another better, like that's a really important thing. And to me, a key element. So I don't know whether it's a separate thing in here or it's in the detail. It could go either way, but I really think we have to capitalize on that. Because there's a great dichotomy between those two lifestyles. And whether we recognize, well, I think we all recognize that. I don't think that's a bad thing to recognize it. It just, I don't think people communicate, right? And anyway, thank you.
One of the suggestion that occurs to me is that you could modify the wording. You want to get rid of the words both permanent and seasonal. You could say, instead of that, you could say from all parts of the community, and put that in, capture that in the heading. If you wanted, I mean, you're gonna need to get into more. When we get it down to the next level, then we could talk about cultural things, which we really haven't talked much about in the strategic plan before, but that's one way to capture it up onto pull it up onto the high level page. All right, so Anything else about number 7 that anybody wants to bring up? All right, so. Let's just sort of take stock of where we are for the moment. The rest of the you know, kind of the next steps in the strategic plan. First of all, we have to capture what we've done today and try to bring back those changes, and they can be circulated and people can review them, so we won't spend the same amount of time on them again. But the next thing we have to do is start looking down at the more detailed items, which were on this. It's really a spreadsheet that and I think you know, the crux of this is to kind of prioritize the things that we want to do. So for example, at that level, we would have things like for example, you know, update the official plan and zoning bylaw, just to use an example. So that would become an item, and I think at the planning stage, we need to have some discussion about how we go about doing that, because it's not, I mean, it isn't a task. I don't believe it's a task that we can just assign to staff or a consultant or whatever. It's going to require some, what I refer to as heavy lifting on the part of council. So, you know, we should probably, you know, that's an example of an item at the next stage that we would spend some time on, but there are a whole lot of them. And once again, we can probably go through the list, and okay, the list that was circulated to you was a status update as of what, a year ago, Madam CAO? Or is it's not right up to date, is it?
This was as of
Maybe earlier in 2022. Well, March 2022. Sorry, that's right. Yeah.
no, March 2021.
Oh, 2021. Okay, all right. So I was right. So I mean, probably what we should do is we should maybe get an update to it. Would that make sense? So that we're not spending time on things that have effectively been completed and don't need more work. But then we would have to go through and going back and thinking our earlier session at the very beginning, we had you know, there will be a number of things that came out of that will result in some actual actions, I think, for us to do that maybe aren't in there at all. So what do you think from a timing point of view? When would it make sense for us to come back and look at this again? Madam CAO, do you have a suggestion from a timing point of view?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would say the update of the details and the update of the strategic plan, as council has discussed today. I think within 2 to 3 weeks, we can have that complete. And then perhaps another special council meeting to review, make sure that we'll forward it to council, obviously, in advance to make any further refinements, and then start talking about details, get into the weeds a little bit more.
Okay. any comments on, any other comments on where we go from here? Councillor Lamb?
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. I mean, I've got a list of 10 or 12 things here that I think everyone up here would agree that need to be in the action plans. And I don't know whether staff can't sort of build those elements in to the next version, you know, unless someone says, no, we don't need to do that. I don't know whether we want, like, I don't know whether people did that or not, but I certainly haven't, like, you know, the official plan, the zoning bylaw, the twist property and how we do, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that I could do in like 3 minutes. I could tell you what the items are. Maybe that might help staff at least identify those in the action plans so that we're not trying to add in. So, well, watch what's going on here. So if I may just take 2 or 3 minutes.
Do you want to just tell us what they are? and
Yeah, I
Try
will.
and capture them.
Yeah.
and,
So-
while you-
so-
you go.
The, again, updating the official plan and the zone and the resultant zoning bylaw is number one. Uh, Investment in our infrastructure is number two.
Sorry, what was that?
Investment in our infrastructure, you know, again, our roads, our bridges, our buildings, all that kind of stuff. The need to review and update the short-term rental bylaw that I know is coming to us. Again, continue to invest in our road grant system. That's a given, I guess. Continue to improve all our boat launches and docks and things like that is an item that I think we've all talked about. Again,
Sorry, can I
oh,
just?
sorry.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to understand, for number 4, you're talking about road grant. Are you suggesting that there's more work that needs to be done to that? Were you talking about the road?
I don't
grant?
know. I think we need to review the road grant protocol. Because I think we've had discussions on it before, what's a
All right.
road, what's not a road, what's, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't think there's major changes to be made. But we've never really reviewed the actual protocol that I recall in the last 8
Okay.
years.
So that was number 4. So
Yeah,
right? Number
okay.
5 was boat launches, right?
I don't know. Short-term rental bylaw, that was in there somewhere. You have
Well,
that?
that was 3 I
Oh,
had.
sorry. Okay. Boat launches, yeah, was one. Again, the whole planning area of Perry Sound Planning Board, or, you know, that the mayor's brought up, that Councillor Nash has brought up, that whole issue.
Yeah.
And the whole, recruitment, kind of staff succession, that's another area that needs to be built in. Obviously, the strategic plan that we're doing today, York Street landfill site, you know, what we're going to do with that and whatever. We talked about communications and internet.
Sorry, you just want to talk about York Street and not?
Well,
Halls as
what alls too, the whole landfill.
Okay.
Issues, right?
All right, thanks.
You know, for instance, I learned last month that we can burn up there. I didn't know at all, so we could burn if we wanted to, instead of chip and things like that. So anyway, those and the internet, those are just some of the items that I had, and I'm sure others have items. And again, I'm suggesting that if at least staff in the next version could come back with those items in there that we could cross out or whatever, so we're not reinventing the wheel, that might help us a little bit. So that's what I have. Thank you. I'm sure others have some stuff. I mean, it's not an all-inclusive list. So.
Okay, are you?
Yeah, I have.
We're gonna need a couple of minutes, so just to close the meeting out, but
I'll go really, really fast here. I didn't think we were doing this today.
No,
This was gonna be the next meeting, but I'll
Yeah.
quickly fly off a few points that I had here.
yeah, go ahead.
Water testing, like municipality water testing of lakes. Official plan,
We got that, yeah,
succession planning,
we got that, yeah.
Public launch improvements,
Yep, not that.
the procurement policy, I mentioned that earlier. And I think Counselor Lamb touched on it. I have landfill future and planning, and
Yep.
one of those items would be bringing back related to the chipping of the brush and stuff like that. And I think just an action plan. I think I'd already said it, but I'm not sure if it's on a list, is just a second location for a water feed. So I'd like to see that on the list, but again, I didn't think we were doing this today, so I'm probably missing a whole bunch of them. I thought this was gonna be on another meeting. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, when I say public launch improvements, it's public launches and parking improvements.
Yeah.
But again, I'll have more. Again, I didn't know we were talking about that today. I
No.
thought
Yeah.
those were in another.
Well, yeah, and I think probably the the homework item for these things would be to think about priorities, because obviously there's a lot of things. Some of these jobs are relatively easy, right? They won't take too long, but some of them, like review of the official plan, for example, and zoning bylaw are probably gonna take quite a while, and so we would ultimately try to produce an action plan that gives some indication of when these things are gonna happen, who's gonna work on them. Are there interdependencies between them? You have to do one thing in order to enable the next thing you want to do, and so on. So,
And
but those are just, I think the important thing for us to do at this stage is to look at the priorities.
And Mr. Mayor, just through you, just to close off there, I think in your email you'd sent the other day, I think the way you'd worded it was very good. You'd asked us 4 kind of questions. What will be our priorities for the planning time frame? What factors may affect achievement of the outcomes we want to see? What elements should be in our action plan? And what approximately timings for their completion? So I'd come up with a big list for each of those, but I know we haven't had time to talk about that, but maybe we can do the next meeting with starting off with what your 4 questions was and having each counselor kind of quickly rhyme off what they think some of those items could be.
All right, thank you. Good suggestion. So we're coming up to 1 o'clock.
The other councillors, if they have other items, they could email. We've got action plan items for.
Yeah, our CAO has suggested if you did produce a list of items and you want to, you could email them to the CAO, and then we'll use that as a sort of a starting point for when we reconvene the next time. All right. So, can I get a mover and seconder, please, that we reconvene?
Mr. Mayor, are we gonna pick a date for the next one? I think we should now, shouldn't we? And
All right, yeah, I was looking for my
again,
calendar, which I brought in, and I don't see where I put it. Oh, it's under.
I kind of like the 9 o'clock start, but I'm not sure. Counselor Bray may want it 10 or 11.
It's not underneath there.
You made it.
I thought it was on this table somewhere, but. Well, I don't think so. Well, anyway, it's probably, I left it sitting on the seat of the car or something. Anyway,
Well,
How about February 25th?
February 25th, let's see.
what kind of a day is
That's
that?
a Saturday,
February 22nd.
25th,
Oh, 25th.
the Saturday. I would have picked the 18th, but the Monday next is family day, so folks will be tied up that weekend, I'm sure.
So Saturday, February.
Yeah, so Saturday, February 25th And to Councillor Lamb's comment, perhaps a 10 o'clock start. If that's desirable.
And the 25th won't work for me, but if it works for everybody else, I just won't be able to make it that day.
Okay, so the problem with the 18th was it's Family Day weekend, right?
That's correct.
Well,
Unless that doesn't affect anyone and their travels or other plans.
Would March 4th work?
is March 7th a council meeting or March something in there?
March 7th is the council meetings for February, the 7th
No.
and the
for March.
21st. Yes, and I'm just carrying on. And March 7th and 21st, and somewhere in there, and I'm working with the treasurer, will be our first budget meeting. I'm thinking mid-March, maybe the next week, but we don't have those dates yet. But I'll do an outreach to council on that. And we will need a closed session meeting sometime in the reasonably near future. It doesn't have to be immediate.
Would there be any way to do the next strategic plan meeting on the 7th of February? Take a little bit of that council time or do it earlier in the day before that?
You could do it, my opinion, you could do it as a separate meeting. You start getting it into a council meeting. We're gonna run out of time and we're gonna be, rushing through stuff and. I kind of like today, I think we achieved a whole lot. And I thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your help on this thing. And I just feel it has to be a separate meeting. I think we achieve a lot more. My fear is once we start getting into March and then there's another rewrite, we're into April and May and we only have 4 years. And if we can't decide what we're going to do in the first 2 or 3 months, then so I think we should be trying to have a meeting in February personally. Because there's going to be another rewrite after that, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about all this and it's going to come back to hopefully be finalized. So, I mean, we can do it. When I open my phone here, by the way, I got a whole bunch of messages from people that can't get in. So, or didn't get in. Did
I
they
think
ever come in?
we did fix that.
Did
yeah.
they get in?
Well, I did have 13 people.
Oh, good. Okay,
Join
well,
in,
hopefully
so,
all those people have sent me messages.
yeah.
Yeah, some of them.
They're in
well,
now. Sorry.
I think some of them are still on, but I don't,
Yes.
Well,
you
good.
seem to have lost internet maybe.
Yeah, maybe it was.
There
So
was some problem with
anyway, I don't know, Zoom, well, other than if Zoom works right, I don't know that Counselor Nash couldn't attend by Zoom on the 25th and put all your ID. Or are you saying you're not?
No, I'm not available.
Oh, you're not available at all. Well, that's a problem. I don't know. I'll do it anytime, but
So-
I really don't like it being pushed to mid-March sometime or something, right? I think that's pushing it out too far.
So notwithstanding Family Day, is the 18th a possibility for folks?
I think it's good personally, because you're gonna have families up here, so there might be people that actually might want to attend.
That actually, Mayor Comrie could comment on. That's
on the Friday. No, sorry. Family Day is
Monday.
is a Monday. On the Monday, there's a movie in here. But we're not talking about the Monday.
Talking about the 18th.
we're talking about the
Yeah.
Saturday,
I
yes.
think Family Day's the 20th or 13th. The 20th, yeah. So
Is
just
it the
for-
20th?
Yes.
for myself, the 18th to the 25th, I am unavailable.
Both Saturday.
Any other time?
Well, if we went back to the other suggestion was was February 25th. You can't participate at all, Counselor?
I don't
Nash?
think so, no, unfortunately. That's why I'd propose March 4th, but if that doesn't work for others, if I have to miss it, then I understand if it works for everybody else.
Okay, so
Why we hung up on Saturday? Why don't we do it on the 17th or something? Are you available on the 7th, or are you just gone for those 2 days?
17th,
Friday night?
that might work. 17th might work.
you're talking about Friday night?
Well, I'm retired. Fridays, Thursdays, Mondays, they're all the same to me.
Oh, yeah, I guess, okay,
Maybe if it's a weekday, we could look to Counselor Woods. I believe 3 o'clock is the earliest you could start a meeting. Is that correct? You could join us, yeah.
Or even the 17th. Well, I don't care. 16th, like whatever, right?
The 18th would be fine in here. Mrs. Lamb just have some stuff up online for us there. I don't know.
What did you say, Brian?
You're supporting the 18th as opposed to
I'll show up any day you need me to. I
25th.
can adjust my schedule. But it'll be a bit of a pain, but no problem. Whatever day everybody wants to be here, I'll be here no matter what. Just Mrs. Lamb pointed out that on the 20th. There's a full day in here proposed by the rec committee,
Yes.
but on the 18th, it would be empty, just so everybody knows that.
Yes, that is correct. The 18th would be,
Yeah, if you want, just leave it on the 25th and I'll see if I can rejig some stuff around.
What about the 11th? Is that too soon?
I think it's pushing it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's only 2 weeks away.
okay.
Okay, what do you suggest?
Just leave it on the 25th.
Well, folks, I don't know what to, I don't know what.
I think we could do the 11th.
Mhm.
Administrative, Counselor Bray can't do the 11th. Okay. So I think we're getting close to the 25th. It sounds like Counselor Nash might be able to accommodate.
25th?
Okay, well, I
What
guess.
time, Council Bray?
Okay, I got the 25th at 10. No. All right, so can I get a mover and seconder, please, to reconvene to a regular meeting? So Counselor Bray moves, seconded by Counselor Woods. And it's what does it say? My thing says 1 PM. That clock says a little faster than that, but that's all right. Is everyone in favor of doing that? Thank you very much. We have dealt with the matter of the meeting, so I think we have any matters rising. Confirmatory bylaw, please, mover and seconder. Who's moving? Counselor Woods moving, seconded by Counselor Bray. Thank you. All those in favor? And last but not least, adjournment. Counselor Woods and Counselor Lamb, I saw, so. And we're at, well, it's now moved up to 1.01. So thank you all very much for your participation this morning, and for those of you who are on Zoom, if you can still hear me, thank you for joining us, and hope you found it informative. If you have any comments you want to send in, please feel free to do that.